Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blue Thunder Pod AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view special. I'm your host, Billy Sullivan. With me, as always, my mom's favorite podcast host. He just lit my pants on fire, Dave Linovich.
It's a good thing you jumped into a bunch of water, so I would think that it wouldn't work.
The flame retardant gel would not be as obvious on me.
Is that what was in the pool of water / gel he jumped into?
I think it was a brilliant decision.
It was cool. It was
dunk
nice.
him in water because remember when Cody did, and everybody was like, I think Taz was even like, "What's all over Cody's back?" Now at least there was a reason.
Joel Jones over here. Yeah.
What'd you think of I'm so used to saying Dynamite. What'd you think of Double or Nothing?
It was good. It wasn't their best. It wasn't their worst. It was there.
I'm with you too. I think I'm right there. It's tough coming off because Dynasty was an all-timer.
All-time.
An absolute
yes.
all-timer. This, to me, on our first watch, it's a little difficult on the first watch when it's on the Aussie deck, my home, especially when I have multiple people over and I'm doing food and stuff. I'm watching on a couple of different screens, so I get a pretty good idea. Like for the big matches, I'll just say and obviously watch the whole thing. But like for the middle of the pay-per-view, a lot of the times I don't really have a real super solid idea of the quality of those middle of the pay-per-view matches until I go back and watch them again. And a couple of those, when I went back and watched, I was like, oh, these are way better than I thought they were. But a couple were like much, much worse. Were not of the quality that AEW has, the standard that they've set for pay-per-views and like in the middle of the show. They opened incredibly well, and then they did their last three matches are always fucking bangers thing, and then there was a couple other good ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was some rough stuff in the middle there, and for a 4.5 hour show, I personally don't have a problem with long shows unless you get up to like the 6 hours that WrestleMania was getting to before they split it. I don't mind long shows. I think you're getting your money's worth kind of thing. Yeah. I always feel that way. I don't get bored by it or whatever, but I understand a lot of people do and get fatigued and stuff. So if you're going to do a 4.5 hour show, you got to make sure you stick to that standard.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like it was a bad show either, because it was like the highs were fucking awesome. There's no 5-star matches, but there was like several 4+, which is a great thing to have on a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But there was a couple 2-somethings on there too.
I think there were a lot of things that were the victim of placement as well too.
Yeah.
But you needed to cool people down, and unfortunately someone had to cool the show down.
And placement on a 4.5 hour show too. Like
I'm one of those people that might think this was a little long. I think they could have shaved a thing or two.
Even with it not bothering me personally, I do think it was long because more people think that way than I do. Like I know I'm the weird one.
Oh no, I'm just. You said there's people. I'm one of those people.
I think most people would be like, this felt long. It felt too long. And it was not because of the beginning. It wasn't because of the last third of the show.
Right.
There was this stuff in those like placement matches that all right, get on with it.
And like everything had a story. Like nothing was just like thrown on there. Like, why the fuck is this on the show? Actually, there was one thing that was why the fuck is this on the show. But for the most part, everything was built. Yeah. So it's like I never thought I would say this. I think there were too many stories to tell on this show, and like keeping something off would have felt unjustified. But like having everything on also didn't feel too great.
It's because it's the Big Four, and I know that they don't say that, but they obviously book it as the Big Four. Yeah. This was their first pay-per-view ever, but like they definitely booked Double or Nothing,
it's a
Revolution,
anniversary of their existence.
The four they booked those differently. Too, they booked and this was 5 years since the John Moxley came on DDT Kenny Omega on the
Big Poker Chip.
But the Big Four, they don't call them Big Four. They try to act like all the pay-per-views are the same, but for whatever reason, then the Big Four are always the longest shows.
Right.
They're always the ones that they feel like they have to get every story that's currently going into that show. Whereas if there's not a Big Four, if it's two like other shows, other pay-per-views over the course of a 2-month period, they'll split them up and just have the one story happen here, and then the other story they'll push to the next pay-per-view. Which makes for like a 3:45 pay-per-view, which is a lot easier for a lot of people to swallow. I don't think they should feel like it's necessary. It's not WrestleMania. It's not like I get it for All In. you want it. It's a zillion people. It's Wembley. You want to get everybody on the card.
Yes.
We're just gonna have to suffer through some like multi-mans and stuff. But I don't think they care that much, the wrestlers, about like being on Double or Nothing by comparison to like Dynasty or like whatever any of the other pay-per-views. Because this was MGM Grand.
Garden Arena.
Or Garden Arena, yeah, the adjacent MGM place where they do all the events, boxing and stuff. It was like hard to put a finger on it because there were different reports of what people said, but there was somewhere between like 7,500 and 8,000 people there.
WrestleTix had 7,643, which is down 28% from the same event last year, which when I read that, I'm like, that's a little fucking concerning. But the product's not.
I guarantee you it would have been not the same if they had known that MJF was going to be on the show.
Well, yeah. Well, he was on the show last year, which is why it was 28% better attended.
He's their biggest ratings.
By a lot.
Bump guy.
Like,
by a ton.
Yeah. It was more interesting. The product's just not as hot as it was last year.
No, absolutely not.
That's
not even close.
That's all that means.
But you know what's funny? It's not as hot as it was last year. It's
a better show.
It's way fucking better. It was kind
show.
of dog shit last year at this time, and this was like, even the things I was just kind of complaining about. It's been like just a really good watch. Like AEW is just much more entertaining and way less frustrating than it was at the same time last year when they were getting bigger. We've talked about it before though. Like 1997 WWF fucking ruled. Yeah. Barely anybody was watching it. They caught on to that, and then 98 was a much bigger fiscal year, but most of the cooler stuff happened in 97.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And so that's what happens in wrestling. The cool stuff goes kind of unseen, gets word of mouth, and then gradually builds.
Right.
And then a year like 2023, you get good numbers despite not putting on a great product.
I mean, when you got one guy throwing the whole company on his fucking back, and then he goes away for a while,
I missed him.
Yeah.
Now we got him and Will Ospreay, who's the other guy that I think is eventually going to be that too. So
yeah,
and they're so different. It's just lovely.
They're very different. Did you watch all the pre-show shit?
Like what?
Like Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa.
Oh yeah. But like I'm not. It was Deonna Purrazzo. This is as far as I will go into the Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa match. Yep. And I had it on the out on the deck, but I was like, Chad, what's this?
Yeah.
So like, what my note from that was, this is a better match than I expected. Yeah. It was Deonna Purrazzo's like best match in his first couple matches in the company. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like a world beater, but for like a prelim match, it was pretty entertaining. Yeah. And they cared. Like they went at it pretty good.
I agree.
I did want to make a point about the buys. They got 135,000 pay-per-view buys, which is like exactly what they are doing consistently, which it's one of those kind of under the radar numbers that people don't talk about. And like 135 just sounds like decent. But 135,000 pay-per-view buys, because we're in the era of nobody's buying pay-per-views anymore. And they do that, and they're almost on a full one pay-per-view a month schedule now. That's actually really very good. Well, to do over 100,000 pay-per-view buys at $50 a piece for most of them at they don't doing monthly shows.
They don't have a choice. That's if you want to watch a show, you got to buy the pay-per-view. There's no network for them.
No, but like $50 is a lot for. And I mean, I say get a VPN, but like $50 is a lot to drop like every month, and people are doing it. Yeah. So like the TV ratings are down, but the understanding that the pay-per-views are going to be of quality that is high enough that it's worth me dropping $50 every time for every month on it. That's a good thing. That's like one of the few good metrics that you can look at. If they're doing 100 plus thousand buys on a monthly, nobody ever did that. Like once on a monthly pay-per-view schedule.
Right.
That's really good. I bet you that's a big part of what the media rights negotiation stuff that Tony Khan seems so confident about. Yeah. And now Dave Meltzer's saying it's going to be like 3 times more than what people were speculating like would make them profitable or whatever. Mm-hmm. I bet you that is a big part of it, because that is what they put most of their effort into, is the pay-per-views. These shows are like, they're like, this one was a little disappointing because of the middle, and it was fucking great show. It was a great pay-per-view. Like, it wasn't perfect, so like that's the standard. They're so good that like if it's not perfect, I'm like it wasn't perfect.
Just nothing felt like it resolved, or usually like at the big shows of the year, like you feel resolution.
I felt more concrete end of stuff happened, at Dynasty
and Revolution.
and Revolution.
Like,
Revolution was a great show
Revolution
too,
was
though.
great,
Like,
but like that
fantastic.
felt like, okay, we're really sticking a pin in shit and changing the story here. Like this was just felt like a continuation of everything that they've been doing, which is good.
There's some stuff, and they did tie it off. Like, we're not going to see Mercedes and Willow again. We're not going to see Swerve and Christian like facing off again.
Yeah, that's
they'll
fair.
be just moving on
That's
to their
fair.
next things. They did a lot of angle stuff here too. They had a heel turn with Statlander.
Yeah.
They did actually way more like angle and story stuff than they kind of ever do on pay-per-views.
They booked it like we usually book a preview.
Yeah, which could also have been the thing that added to the 4.5 hour runtime. Like, you could do that on TV.
They should have done a lot of it on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you could even fit all your matches in if you just
Tighten
crunch
it
them
up
in a little bit.
Yeah.
And get rid of that, and you're under 4 hours then. Like,
I agree.
everybody's happy. What else was pre-show?
Cage of
Right
Agony
down.
versus the Acclaimed.
Max Caster's mustache is like my favorite thing on
Oh, I
earth
wrote-
right now.
I wrote, he looks like...
Yeah, I read it and I didn't say it because I wanted to let you say it.
Oh, did I send you this one too?
I saw it in your notes.
It said, in 1985, Ebony Magazine predicted what Michael Jackson would look like in the year 2000. He'd look like Max Caster.
It's not like on my notes every time they come out now. I'm like the Acclaimed plus Max Caster's mustache are here. it's a separate entity. It like has destroyed all other mustaches.
It is.
He's a 1940s suave motherfucker.
He looks like a Commodore.
Yeah.
It looks amazing.
Yes, he does. Like, I thought, I was talking about, like, I think he's turning heel. As soon as he grew that thing, I'm like, oh, no, you're
What is
babyface.
it
I
about
love
a
you.
mustache that just shoots you into a different
I don't know.
stratosphere?
Like
Cody
Hangman
did it too.
Page, Cody, like, Tom Selleck looked badass.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Takes the mustache off, everyone's upset.
Magnum TI.
Your dad has a mustache, and then you shave it. Your fucking children hate you.
My dad had a mustache for many years.
Took it off.
Looked like a Puerto Rican, like a drug cartel leader or something. In all the old pictures, I don't remember him that way.
Sure.
I remember him as a
Well,
very
he was-
masculine man with a mustache.
It's because he was never around.
Yeah, he
on
took it
account
off,
of
and I was
being
like, "Oh, you got old. Why'd you get old?" Mustaches are masculine. I have one right now.
Well, I also have one.
Yeah, you have grown in your a little bit more than me.
Yeah, the beard I grew
beardo.
out. Yeah.
But I mean, yours is nice and dark, and mine's all filled with grays. So
No, it looks
that's why
great.
I know. I think it looks good too.
Yeah.
But that's why I think that the mustache should be more prominent on my face, because your beard is more symmetrically colored.
Yeah. I like to keep it consistent, keep it tight.
We got some fucking kick-ass mustaches on this show. Like Roddy Strong's is like, it's a masculine mustache now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have like the nerdy mustache now, and his whole character is different. He's like a ass kicker again.
Good.
Oh fuck yes, good.
Yeah. He was
and the show opened. Speaking of, with Roderick Strong versus the Billy Goat, Will Bloody Ospreay.
Don Callis on commentary.
With Don Callis, as always, with Don Callis on commentary, fantastically. I think a thing that we complained about, both of us, that happened in Dynasty, now was a strength on Dynasty because it factored into this match.
Go on.
A match that we both loved, but one thing that we didn't necessarily think was great was Roddy Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly. The match was unbelievable, but we both thought that the ending felt a little abrupt and out of nowhere.
Yeah.
What that did, for me at least, so I'm thinking it wouldn't be just for me, for other people probably too. In this match, when Roddy Strong did one of his several sequences where he would hit a bunch of like very high impact moves in a row, it felt like he could end this match. And like this could be just the end of Will Ospreay's streak.
Yeah.
And that's how we're doing it. And it really felt that way. And I don't think it would have felt that much the case had that Kyle O'Reilly match not ended the way that it did.
Sure.
I think it informed the way that I watched this Roderick Strong match. I think Roddy's gotten a lot of like kind of down low character building stuff. A lot of it done in the ring, but like just attitude stuff, and then like that kind of stuff over the last couple of months.
Right.
I love him right now.
Oh, this is the best version of him since he's been in the company.
Yeah,
By a long shot.
I mean, because he was nothing and then goofy.
Yeah.
And now we're getting like the badass version, even kind of more of a badass than we saw in NXT. And I like his look and everything too, which is like nice and like clean, a bad guy mustache kind of thing.
Yeah, clear glasses, 1 hour photo vibes.
Yeah. This match fucking ruled. Obviously, it's Will Ospreay. It's his. I would say it is Will Ospreay's most diverse match. Both guys worked about 4 or 5 different styles during the course of this match.
Right.
Like Ospreay's done the strong style, the Kenny Omega style, like main event, whatever. The heavy striking, which you would think because the Roddy Strong, thing. That's Roddy's big on that, like knee strikes and stuff. But they were doing everything. They were doing like catch as catch can. They were doing strong style. They were doing the thing that Ospreay's most famous for, the like sequence, the counter sequence into a thing. Mm-hmm. He did a sequence where he countered I forget what the move Roddy was going, high knee or something. The sequence that ended up with Will Ospreay in Roddy Strong holding him in the Styles Clash position. I don't think it's physically possible to do what they did on that. I think it was CGI or something for that particular sequence.
I just wrote insane reversal sequence, Styles Clash attempt, but knee gives out, ends with Oz Cutter.
I'm not gonna do for any of these matches. I'm not doing. I won't even do like the spots that I have notes on because it's just too many things. And this match was like 1 billion miles an hour of nonstop action, and it wasn't just like the playing the hits. They were doing moves that they don't usually do and stuff too. It was very, very good and cool. The only thing that was wonky was when other people got involved. There was one point when Will Ospreay gets put up on what's his face is not Matt Taven, the other Kingdom.
Mike Bennett.
Mike Bennett, Maria's husband. Put up on Bennett's shoulders, and then Taven got in the ring and went to try to do a tope. He like very badly botched it, which caused him to kind of swipe at Ospreay, and then Ospreay did like a gainer flip off of to sell it because he was doing his best to sell it. And on initial like action, when watching it in real time, and then with the way that the commentator sold it, I thought he landed right on his head. And it was just like more Ospreay magic. He was just like making up for Taven's terrible botch by making it look like that, when in actuality, he actually landed on his knees first, and he was like as safe as a person could be. Yeah. But if you watch it in full speed, you could watch it 10 times in a row and be like, no, he's like landing on his head. And especially with Callis, I'm like, oh, he's broke, his neck is broken. I can't believe, like, we may have to stop this match or whatever. Right. They do a great job selling it. But, like, Ospreay can just turn anything into something that looks awesome, but is actually safe and, like, in practice. But only safe for him, because nobody else can do the stuff that he can do.
Good. More of that and less of the I'm legitimately afraid that Pac has a fucking broken neck angles.
Dude, it scared
the shit out of me.
The DDT, we talked about how incredible that Spike Tell was last, and then he just was like way grosser and scarier.
Too much.
He's amazing, though.
It's not fun.
He's not doing it.
No, but like anytime anybody does that, my neck is really hurt, or I really have a concussion, or I'm really having a seizure, that's not fun.
That doesn't bother me. There was something on the show that bothered me. It bothered me when the person was going to do it, and it bothered me when they did it. But for very specific reasons we'll talk about when we get there. But I don't mind if somebody's just really good at selling that spike, and he's the best I've ever seen.
But it wasn't just the spike.
RVD used to do it too.
This is different. He landed with his like feet like in a different position, and the commentators are like, "Oh, something's wrong here. Something's really wrong here." That's not fun. I'm not having fun when I think a guy legitimately broke his fucking neck.
I like it, but I absolutely understand that perspective.
Like when I'm like, "Oh, should we keep going?"
Yeah.
Like, because we have enough history and we have enough hindsight.
If it was a different guy too, maybe I would be like more in your direction of like, you don't have to sell me that hard.
Yeah.
But just because it was Pac, and that's like, I know that's his thing, and like I've seen him do it in a zillion different variations, so I didn't feel any worry there. But I understand, like, as a viewer, when you're seeing something like that, if you do feel like legitimate worry,
it's not fun.
I know that some people, like Kaz, are probably like, that's great, that's what you want. You want to make the crowd feel, but like, it's a different kind of feeling.
It's not necessary.
And I did have that feeling at one point on the show. It wasn't here.
Some of the shit, Wrestling existed for decades without making me think you're having a seizure in the ring. We don't fucking need it all of a sudden.
Well, they outside of WWE.
I'm talking about North
WWF.
American wrestling. I'm a North American wrestling fan.
I am too.
Yeah.
Like
meaning-
Mid-South, Memphis, all that shit.
Yeah.
They would sell like they were dying. Fucking Von Erich, dad sold it. He had a heart attack in the ring, with everyone there and on TV believing at the end of the show that he was dying.
That's like when I let me.
So it just went away for a while
Right.
because Vince was doing a kids show.
Well, let me restructure that then. I should say televised North American wrestling.
It was on ESPN. The thing I just talked about was on ESPN.
Generalized televised North American wrestling when we all understood this is fake.
Yeah.
When Von Erich was doing it, it was kayfabe as fuck. You probably thought he was having a heart attack if you were in the show.
They sold it that way.
It's two different presentations.
I personally have a belief because I've read a couple articles too that I don't think pro wrestling fans really have ever believed that it was real. Like the vast majority of them. I think even in the 40s and stuff, everybody knew. Except for there were, of course, actual marks that believed what they were looking at, but they were still adults. And you're watching this thing, and I watch matches from the 50s that are awesome or whatever. But you could tell it's cooperative to some degree. And I think people back then had the same brains that we have in our heads now too. So I don't think kayfabe is as big a thing as wrestlers and promotions like to fantasize that it is. I think it always has been kind of a wink and nod, yeah, it's real. I just don't think people are that susceptible to.
Right.
Irish whip has always been a thing.
Yeah.
Nobody
well,
fucking thinks
you
that
can
Irish
you
whip
can
can happen.
destroy the logic of a wrestling match. Watch wrestling with someone that doesn't watch wrestling
it's tough.
and loves UFC.
Yeah.
And it's it's not even fun. He's like, why is he doing that? It's
It always devolves on me into me having to then explain to them why writing dramatic things has value. Movies are good because there is a story and dramatic build and stuff.
UFC fans get offended when it's presented as real. That's when they're like, this is fucking stupid. It's not real.
But nobody presents it as real.
Sure they do.
They talk about how the injuries are real and the physical force they're using with the stuff is real. But no, there's nobody today that's
not today, but let's not pretend that wrestlers didn't.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely
sued.
pretended. I think I'm talking just about the actual people that were watching. I think more than half of them, going back to just after the Carney days, were always it's fun though. I think that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
I just think it's overestimated the number of people when you hear wrestlers talk or promoters talk about back in the day how kayfabe how big it was. It was big to them, but I think the people watching it more than half were yeah, we get it. There were people trying to stab Stan Hansen,
but never
or whatever.
When I say generalized North America, I'm talking about WCW and
WWF
because I didn't watch.
They're bringing back the
I'm not watching TV in the 50s
stuff.
or the Von Erichs or Mid-South till I'm older.
It was 80s. I
was 3. I watched Mr. Perfect and I watched Coco Beware and I watched
Mr. Perfect was doing
Conan.
that shit in Memphis.
He wasn't doing it on WWF.
No,
he was
wasn't
spitting
on
gum and
WWF.
throwing a towel.
Yeah.
That's my point, and that's what most people see. So when you have shit where people look like they're legitimately dying, and we've seen legitimate injuries on television, it's not fun. That's my point. It's just not fun.
Yeah, and I'm never going to argue a personal taste thing. I get it.
I think it's a fucking gross way to sell a match. Actually, also too, the fact that he does that and it doesn't result in a finish makes it devalues the sell, because even when Danielson did it ended the fucking match because he's very good at his job. But you can't stick that in the middle of a match and expect me to think that it's.
I don't know if there was a save or anything, right? I don't have it this sequence, so I'm not sure if it was a pin that he kicked out of or if it was it was a 6-man. So they did. By the way, very happily. And during that match, we didn't finish talking about Ospreay, but he did. And the biggest thing that happened on the show in between the
was it when Wardlow tried to interfere?
Yeah, he's a real big failure, isn't he? Wardlow also tried to interfere in this match.
I do like his gimmick where he puts in the bare minimum.
And then he did it basically
he shrugs his shoulders.
What are you gonna do?
It's pretty funny.
Walked out, which it was nice because it led to the angry Adam Cole promo.
Yes.
So not to short sell it, but Will Ospreay won this incredible match. It was one of my favorite with a Stormbreaker after
which we haven't seen him use a ton of since he's been in the company.
And it was because he a couple of times was he was going for the Tiger Driver and he's He's like, I can't do it. And Callis obviously is like, put him in. Callis was yelling, put him in the hospital. Put him in a chair. He's so incredible.
He hit the Stormbreaker after Roderick Strong tried the end of Hardick, and Ospreay landed on his fucking feet.
Yeah. So I know you don't watch Collision, and I usually don't either, but I had heard about this, so I watched it this week. Will Ospreay had a 5-star match against Kyle O'Reilly. By the way, like absolutely a 5-star match against Kyle O'Reilly on Collision in front of nobody. He did a kip up without using his hands. I can't even fucking figure out how. He just kipped up.
Shawn Michaels used to do that.
Michaels would go way back on his. He not necessarily put his hands down. I know what the spot you're talking about, and that's
he
crazy
would do it
too.
real slow.
Ospreay just did it like he got knocked back and then just kipped up. Like it was.
Oh, I've seen that.
It's not the same as the thing that we've seen.
Okay.
Because the thing I just described, there's another thing that looks like that. This looked like he used the top of his head to kip up perfectly.
Well, he's got superpowers.
Coming right off of a. I think he's CGI. I think that's what MJF was so pissed about in his promo. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, you guys love this motherfucker, and he's just, you don't know, if you're not watching on TV, there's nothing here. He's CGI. Because I have no other explanation for how he does most of the stuff he does.
Yeah,
but he got the win in a absolutely wonderful match that I gave 4, and what did I get? 4.5 stars.
He also, on his way out, hugs a guy dressed like Jesus Christ.
Yes, he does. And it's not the only allusion to Jesus we get on this
It is certainly
show.
not.
Great way to start the show. High octane, very high energy. I actually really like the next match as well, but the next segment was my favorite thing that happened on the show.
Yeah.
Adam Cole comes out. He's obviously pissed off because and he got his Adam Cole baby music because his team has failed him, and he's just bitching and I shouldn't be able to do this. I should be home rehabbing my ankle, but these idiots can't get anything done right. And then he's like, and you people need to recognize me too, like what I am. And then he pulled out the devil mask.
Yeah.
And as soon as the devil mask came out, the entire crowd went fucking bananas and didn't stop going bananas for the next 20 minutes. And we brought it out to say, you got to give the devil his due, talking about himself. And that man is, and he went down to do his side to side Adam Cole, baby. But then the lights went off, popped back on. Lights went off. People went fucking ape shit. Roof popped off the building, came back up. And on the Tron, there's a video, first person perspective video, walking down a hallway in what looks like a pretty affluent home. Turns into a room that is adorned with multi
it's got
pieces of historical MJF
it's got a painting of him on the fireplace, large photos of old MJF moments.
Still called it out as it was happening in real time. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's like, that's a this.
It's a mannequin wearing an oxblood suit with a Burberry scarf, a mannequin hand wearing a diamond ring, which is removed by the camera operator.
Yeah.
There's a large poker chip, a Nightmare family shirt, 2 dog collars connected with a chain, an oxygen tank.
Still my favorite.
There was something hanging on the wall I didn't recognize.
Me too. Same thing.
Giant key thing.
That could be a MLW or something.
Could be, yeah.
Maybe from his Dynasty. That was his faction back then.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Way in the back, there was a white suit jacket and a bow tie, which I missed at first.
From the Jericho days.
All while this orchestral music is playing.
The slow part.
Whoever this is, we can't imagine who, pulls out a ripped half of a photo. One side is of Adam Cole, and then he picks up another side that is MJF, puts them together, and then it's silence in the
whole time that this is happening, there are I had a larger group of people at my home to watch the show. They were watching me. I ran up to the screen about 3 inches away from it, and I was jumping up and down and just saying, please, just give me the bam, bam. I just want the bam. Come on, give me the bam. I need the bam. And then we got the bam, bam, bam. Fucking place erupts. MJF comes out wearing the full Triple H return from injury, super famous homage thing he's doing. The leather jacket with the ruined 2 perfectly good jackets. Leather jacket with the denim sleeveless over the top of that, very clearly it's the Triple H thing that I thought was cool at the time, and then immediately realized it wasn't, but now think is cool again because I love wrestling and that's an iconic moment. And MJF loves to like reference iconic stuff like that. And this is his big return. He looking real jacked, baby.
Looks enormous.
Every wrestler that gets hurt, if it's like not an upper body injury, they always come back.
Well, they have all the time in the world to lift.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
yeah.
They don't have to like heal from matches and stuff.
Right.
And they can cycle more properly probably when they're at home. Like, but just like looking incredible. He, Adam Cole immediately starts jabbing at him that like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, it ended bad, but like, you know, we had a lot of good times. Like, we should still be together. Fuck my other friends now. Let's just be friends still. And MJF is like, oh, okay. And he goes over and like hugs him very disingenuously though, and then like holds him at arm's length and just kicks him in the balls and then smiles at the camera in his old heely MJF, the best kind of MJF way. Then he does what I didn't think a person could possibly do, and it was the thing I was dreading most about MJF coming back was like, well, he's got to take care of the Adam Cole thing first. You know, he just did like a stalling brainbuster on Cole, so brutal that it like clearly was the end of that. That's done being addressed. Like that brainbuster ended the whole thing. It was such a great. I want him to start using that as his finisher, by the way, because especially if he stays babyface, because I like the Heat Seeker a lot, but that's a heel finisher.
Yeah.
And that brainbuster he did was fucking awesome looking.
Yeah, it was dope.
And then the most important part, MJF gets on the mic.
Yeah.
And makes just many references. Does a pipe bomb reference to.
You want to read it?
Oh yeah, sure. Hey, if you got word for word, I've been talking too much. You go ahead. Oh. I don't have an MJF impersonation.
Oh, so. I don't either.
No, I only want to read the ones necessarily when I'm going to do a thing. And MJF's just a great promo. Yeah. So like,
he just sounds like a dude. He goes, Adam Cole, you noodle-armed, bobble-headed son of a bitch.
I can't, and I'll never see Adam Cole the same again.
Did I hurt the baby? Tough shit. Somebody get this shit stain out of my ring, huh? Oh, and Cole, while they're dragging your bony carcass out of here, I want you to try to listen while you're close to unconsciousness.
Pretty sure that was a pipe bomb reference. That's what Punk says to Cena when you're laying in that ring, half unconscious.
That's
I think it was
that's
Punk
good.
thing.
That's good. See. I gave you something I've never given anyone before. Trust, and thanks to you, bro, Chacho, that shit ain't happening again. See, he thought he took out MJF, and he goes to the cameraman outside. He said, "Get the hell in here! I need all the camera angles."
And he did too.
And he did. He said, but he didn't take out MJF. No, all he did was wake him up. See, now I remember exactly who the hell I am. I'm the greatest wrestler on God's green earth. I am a generational talent. My name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I'm better than you, and you know it. But why is that, MJF? Pray tell. I will, because unlike Adam Cole and all those schmucks in the back, I don't need a New Japan or a Vince McMahon.
I love his little sing-songy, too. I don't need a New Japan or a Vince McMahon.
To make MJF, because MJF made MJF.
And he's absolutely right.
He's not wrong. So when it comes to the salt of the earth, back to your regular scheduled programming, folks. No more ha-ha, no more friendships, no more kangaroo kicks, and no more bullshit. Back to being driven by what I am driven by best, and I ain't talking love. No, I'm talking hate.
And he does a little dance while doing the hate thing.
Yeah. MJF is now a member of the Player Haters Board.
Yes, yeah.
And when your boy's driven by hate, nobody's safe. And then he sees the devil mask and picks it up, and he goes, and you see this stupid mask? Masks are adorned by cowards who want to hide. See, I'm about done hiding. I'm about done being humble. I'm about done apologizing for the fact that I'm the goddamn best. No one is more complete in this sport than me.
True.
It is not my fault, ladies and gentlemen, that all your cute little faves in comparison to moi suck a big old bag of donkey dicks.
I'm in a love triangle with Will Ospreay and MJF right now. But that elicited a huge donkey dicks chant.
Yes. Yeah, it's good. It's nice to see Louis C.K. get some love on the show. He didn't say donkey. He just said bag of dicks.
Bag of dicks.
Anyway,
yeah.
I don't need a mask.
But it's still a Louis. A bag of, I think, is still a Louis reference. I'd consider it a reference.
Yeah, suck a bag of dicks.
He does so many references too.
Yeah.
That
I just like that he listens to Louis C.K. I don't need a mask to prove that no one here is on the level of the devil. So this stupid, goofy, grotesque mask that symbolizes the tail end of 2023 and makes my stomach turn in knots.
Says that with real
Vile bile coming out of his mouth.
anger.
Yeah, he's bad. It's very visceral.
Because it sucked for him. It was the worst part of his career was like the last 2 months of the last year.
Yeah, absolutely. This dumb mask and everything it symbolizes can go straight to hell, and then he stomps it.
And then I went, oh my God, he's going to do the flare.
And indeed he did. Stomps the mask, takes his shirt off, and then does the flare elbow drop before throwing the mask in the crowd.
Does the taunt walk too, the flare slash Jarrett
thing. And at this point I wrote, Jesus Christ, he looks amazing.
Yeah. Because he
now
takes the jacket off. It's like, oh, he's a He-Man action figure.
That's accurate. I've been betting on myself since day one. I'm all in, double or nothing. So in regards to my contract status,
I love that little wordplay too.
Yeah,
I'm all in, double, and it's that double or nothing. But he means double or nothing. This is the second time.
Right.
Because it's the second contract.
He could have been like, I have a revolution for you all.
He could have said a million other things that every other wrestler would have said, but he didn't because he's fucking MJF and he says the best thing.
He should have said all the pay-per-views. So in regards to my contract status, as if it wasn't already painfully obvious to you stupid marks, no offense. And then he cracks up the crowd.
He does he does. It was his one little joke, and it was funny. Yeah. It was like the thing he was doing before when he was like starting to be cheered, but like before they started doing the silly bullshit with Adam Cole, when it was still a kind of a serious thing, he would do that kind of regularly where he'd be like, oh yeah, you stupid fucking marks. I'm just, sorry. But like he would do that kind of thing regularly. That's how this was.
It was funny. To quote one of the...
My favorite reference, this is the one coming up right here.
To quote one of the all-time greats, may he rest in peace.
Cheeky baby.
Cameraman zoom, and MJF turns around and lifts up his pant leg to reveal a tattoo. It has the AEW logo inside a poker chip and the phrase "Bet on yourself." And I just made the note. Quality-wise, it's a pretty shitty tattoo.
It's a dog shit tattoo. But like, I almost wonder if he came up with the idea like very shortly before the show. I was like, oh, what I should do to reveal this.
That was a healed tattoo.
Do this.
That wasn't a day of tattoo.
Yeah, it's true. There was no I don't know. When I got mine, they looked healed for a day, and then
that looked like a healed ass tattoo.
It did.
Yeah.
And it was not
the
very
colors
good.
weren't that great.
But the message certainly did the trick, though.
He humbled you. Cameraman, zoom. When it comes to MJF and AEW, you can call me the Wolf of Wrestling because I'm not fucking leaving.
Like right into the camera that he called up into the ring.
Yeah.
This is his best promo since like the Punk
since he told Tony Khan to fire him. This is his best promo.
Yep. That's a little while of him. The crappy booking. This is a return to
form.
The thing that we love. It's like when The Rock turned into The Rock again.
Yeah.
This last year. It is so wonderful.
Yeah.
Love to see MJF being the guy.
Absolutely.
That's him. And when he made the point to say nobody's safe, he did it in a very pointed way that makes me think like, oh yeah, he could go after anybody here.
Yeah.
He just ended that whole Adam Cole thing. I don't think anybody else could do it that like well and succinctly and make it satisfying. He dropped an elbow on a mask and gave a guy a brainbuster, but it feels like, oh yeah, he ended that feud, and it's correct the way that he did it. Like it was unbelievable. He's just the best. As Stuss has said many a time about MJF, whether you think he's the best now or what, I think when it's all said and done, that guy's going to go down as the greatest professional wrestler that's ever lived. I don't know that he's there now, but like nobody's, like he said in this promo, nobody's ever been as complete at everything you need to do in pro wrestling, especially at the age that he got there as MJF is.
Right.
And when he's allowed to do his own thing, which this is.
Yeah.
It's just the best. It's the most that this was so good. I think it was a mistake putting it at this point in the show.
Yeah.
Because there was it took me a while to get come down from the MJF thing and get into something else.
Yeah.
Because the next match was a very good match. I didn't feel much for because I was only thinking about MJF.
Yeah.
And, the kind of the ramifications of what we just saw and all the different references he made and stuff. I glazed over for the next match.
Yeah.
I would have put this later on the card.
I fucking hate where it was.
Yeah.
Hate it.
I think it's the worst choice as far as placement goes on anything on the
choice.
because it's the most exciting thing that happens on the show.
Yeah.
And it is right after the first match, which was probably your most exciting. I don't think the first match was the best match on this show, but it was the most exciting match on this show. move for move. So you did your most exciting match and then the most exciting thing you're going to do on this whole 4.5 hour program.
Yeah.
So like it's everything's going to suffer after it.
Right.
I had to like go back and watch the match that followed, which was the 6-man tag title match. All these guys, by the way, the Bang Bang Gang, and who they Death Triangle, to something that you were always harp on, and now you've convinced me, and I want it all the time. I want teams to all like we were talking about in our other Blue Thunder Pod episode that will go up at the same time as this. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out for King and Queen of the Ring tag teams, and in this case, 6-man tag teams. They should have like a unifying thing. They should wear the same kind of colors. They should have a name. They should have their own moves. And both of these teams like did that perfectly. Yeah. They all look like they like planned their shit out in the car on the way to wherever. And then like their gear was awesome. Even Pac, who usually just does the black regardless, he like took the step to put like gold. The armband things that he puts up by his like armpit to make his biceps even more giant. He made those like gold, and then like the lining on his trunks were gold, which matched Penta and Phoenix. So they looked more cohesive than they ever have as a trio. They've always done the move thing. They've always felt like a team, but they look like a team, and that makes a difference.
Well, they looked, at least Ray Phoenix did, because he slipped when getting into position for their pose.
He did, and I was like, oh my God, we've only had you back for 3 weeks.
He's just,
I love him, but like, Jesus.
I wrote, need Ray Phoenix to stay healthy. He's far too fun to watch.
He is, but I've heard somebody somewhere, I don't know, it was a YouTube thing or something like this week talking about, what's kind of sad? I feel like the Tony Khan has kind of moved on from like giving the Lucha Brothers a interesting story, and I'm like, well, he has, but like it's because there's like a 40% chance they're going to get hurt and be out for 3 months at any given time.
He's running a business.
You can't like start a big long storyline with guys that like might get very badly injured.
That's
like,
the history of wrestling. No one gets like pushed if they're injury prone.
They didn't put they didn't like ECW even. You didn't see him put New Jack in title programs because there was a chance he was going to like jump off the rafters and try to kill somebody and like take a fork in his own eye or whatever. So and these three are like they wrestle like the most dangerous, nonstop, incredible to watch, super fun to watch style. And then just they're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, but
Phoenix is particularly like he slipped, and it was like he feels like Nordbergian, as I called him before.
I love it.
I thought the guns, particularly in this match, were fantastic. Austin, I'm always going on about how much I like Austin. Colton
with the weird armpit tattoo.
Yeah. He's kind of a strange looking dude too. I thought he was like had his most standout match here.
Yeah,
he did like a big jumping, like whirling roundhouse move. I don't even know what to call it because I've never seen it before, but it looked cool as fuck. And I've never seen Colton Gunn innovate a move, but he did, and it was great looking. These guys' personalities work so perfectly too. Nonstop high octane action. What you expect from Death Triangle versus the Bang Bang Gang. The way that it finished, and I love Jay White so goddamn much.
Very cool finish.
And he does this kind of sell. I forgot he used to do this in New Japan a lot. He does this sell where like he's done. Like he's selling that he is on death's door, can't move, except he has just enough energy to hit one Blade Runner, and that uses the rest of every bit of energy in his body.
Right.
So that's after. And the way that we got to that too was Pac gets up on the turnbuckle, a returning stray bullet, Juice Robinson. So now you got MJF and Juice Robinson both back at the same time. Two of the most charismatic people on any program. Juice comes out and knocks Pac off the turnbuckle, and he's just awesome in the 2 seconds that he's doing that, just doing his juice shit. It's amazing. Which leads to the Jay White, I have enough energy for one Blade Runner. Here it is. Mm-hmm. I'm going to flop back over onto you for the 3 count. And then Juice runs in the ring to celebrate, grabs like a completely limp like dead body Jay White by the belt and picks him up and flips his arm over his shoulder and does like a big crazy celebration dance with like the corpse of Jay White. It was awesome.
Yeah. He's like hip thrusting.
Yeah.
He's
doing his juice.
He's doing a straight Weekend at Bernie's impression.
Yeah. And Jay White just after like those casino gauntlet matches, which to me, Jay White is the star of both of those matches. And then like this and realizing what he was doing in New Japan and like, he's one of the best. And the people that say that like, oh, he hasn't been utilized right or whatever.
No,
I think
right
that,
where he needs to
yeah,
be.
I think that they were just doing what you are usually asking for. They're giving the people that were not familiar with New Japan the story that he told in New Japan. We're learning, like everybody, the people that didn't see him before are now learning what kind of wrestler he is.
Yes.
And that takes some time. And like now it's like becoming clear. And now that it's becoming clear, it's like, hey, it's fucking awesome. So he'll be at the top of the card eventually. Like he's only 30.
I went to Forbidden Door when it was the 4-way, the first one.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the second one. Was it the first
you
one?
Went to the second one, I think.
It was with Okada, Jay White.
Where Jay White saved Adam Cole's life.
It was the
it was the second one.
It was the Ospreay Orange Cassidy match. But I just remember being told so many times how Jay White's great. Jay White's great. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is.
It's hard, and I understand it too. Yeah. Like thinking about it now, thinking back, because a lot of what makes Jay White great is that like we like watching him do all this shit and then learning what he is and what kind of
I love him now.
Like the reason he's so great in the casino gauntlet matches is because we know now that he's like a sneaky motherfucker who like he's the best in the world at like sneaking up behind guys and hitting them with like devastating moves when nobody sees him coming.
Right.
And the anticipation of that makes the matches great, but that we wouldn't have that anticipation if we hadn't had these months of like learning who Jay White is.
It's important to write some chapters to the story so I understand what the book's about.
And in the meantime, it's pretty fun watching him hang out with the guns and...
he's making them so much better just by proxy.
Juice Robinson, I hated for like my whole life.
Yeah.
Until he started doing this stray bullet thing.
Yeah.
And now he's like one of my favorite things in wrestling.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's like it's a coincidence that he's associated with Jay White. And that's when it happened. I'm very interested in what Juice Robinson and Tony Storm's home love life is like.
You bring it up a lot, yeah.
Come on. Like,
I know she's bi.
Come on.
But
she's bi. She talks about like super dirty fucking stuff in almost every one of her promos.
Yeah.
To the point now where Taz talks about her like doing dirty fucking stuff whenever she's wrestling. And then her husband is fucking Juice Robinson.
Yeah.
It has to be like
maybe
like 1970s like orgy fest.
They could just make their own pour over coffee and like have a bunch of white appliances.
That's true.
Yeah.
But Juice is from Joliet, so I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
I think
he's right down the street. I am a little concerned about the death triangle because there are guys that can lose and not be affected. These guys never win though. Ever. I don't think they're never gonna have the trios title because of what I expressed last week and I just did again now. I would have a lot of reticence to put anything on these guys as much as I love them. Much as Pac is over and stuff. I don't even want to put them in like a real program because there's like a decent chance he's not gonna make it through. They're just, they're
super fun to have, but like
they're nice to have, but like the more I see them on TV, like their plausibility is plummeted.
I think them being for me, I think they're
very ineffective.
Their in-ring prowess is so good that I'm able to. It's like the Brian Cage effect.
Yeah, but
I'm able to see past the history because it looks so great I also still have that image in my head of Pac beating Kenny Waggett like right when the show started. So that probably informs it a little bit. But I think that's kind of the role they play now is the Brian Cage like
but in a show,
be awesome. You're not going to win because you can't stay healthy.
But we were just saying in a show where like there's too many stories on this show, like. This is now becoming a storyline-driven company, finally. So, yeah, you're going to have guys that can just lose all the time and be there, and they're fun to have while they're there. But, like, I personally like this team, and I would like more success for them.
I agree. But if you were the booker, would you be willing to?
For all the reasons you just said, no, I wouldn't be willing to. And, like we were saying, they're super injury-prone. I think they have visa issues sometimes. Like they're just not able to come in.
Phoenix has like every problem.
But he's
have.
the guy, right?
Yeah.
So like, and then
although I've always thought Penta could be like a world title contender.
And it's just like, at what point do you render these guys so ineffective? But they keep, and they should have lost this. I'm not saying they should have won.
Yeah.
But put these guys. I wrote, make these guys have a best of 7. I want to see these 2 teams on TV every fucking week.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I like. It's like a huge bummer that they're relegated to Brian Cage.
Yeah.
But I think that's just what they have to be.
I agree.
And
I agree.
Maybe if you go a full calendar year without any injuries, you can be you trust enough to do like something.
But
it's hard to do a story.
Like, you're right. I wouldn't book these guys.
I'll take them. I'll take them on a pay-per-view, 6-man tag, whatever. Yeah. And also during this match, maybe my favorite thing that happened, Excalibur elucidated more specifically that not only did they like put the belts together, it's a new thing. It's a whole new thing. The Bang Bang Gang are the first title holders of this single title.
Good.
So there's one 6-man, and I'm okay with the 6-man. Like to keep doing it on Collision most of the time. Anyway, they're fun. This was a super fun match.
Yeah. Even Lance Storm agreed with us on that. I saw him do some interview, and he's like, and they're like, if you had the book for AEW, what would you do right now? He's like, just get rid of Ring of Honor completely. Yeah. I would get rid of all the belts, because he's like, it's weird that they have a company within their own company that nobody cares about.
I had a thought while I was mowing the lawn 2 days ago.
Looks nice, by the way.
Thank you. What Tony Khan should do is liquidate Ring of Honor or sell it to somebody for only a little bit of money with like a tiny bit of that roster or whatever. Yeah. And if he wants to own a second wrestling company, he can afford to do it. CMLL or New Japan at this point, he could probably buy.
Yeah.
And he really loves New Japan. And then you can like let Bryan Danielson book AEW and he can go be Ghetto and book New Japan like he's always really dreamed of doing. Yeah. Because it's enough separation that it's not going to annoy us that the two companies are constantly.
Then you have grounds where all these guys coming over would make sense, because you could do interpromotional stuff technically under one umbrella.
Yeah.
And if he's getting a TV rights deal, which I'm praying to the heavens above, goes on like HBO, like something with.
I want to stream it so bad.
I want something with a library where I can constantly.
Well, you have some of that now, because I realized that you have the VPN. Yeah. So,
but I'm spoiled.
It's a pain in the ass for anybody to have to like do those steps. It'd be nicer to be able to turn on Max and have the entire library.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah. But so if you have New Japan and like we're able to watch a weekly New Japan show, I all of a sudden don't need the 8-month Jay White orientation. Yeah. I can fucking just watch the product over here.
It'd be kind of cool just to have New Japan on a regular American broadcast, because New Japan broadcasts look different than anything that we see in America.
Which is
it looks like UFC or Pride.
That's what WWE fucks up when they do the draft. They don't make it look different enough.
Yeah.
That's one of the things.
And actually drafting people would have helped too.
Yeah.
Or
in the
understanding
first
what a draft
round,
is,
the 8th pick.
Yeah.
It'd be the 8th round, the 8th pick.
Not drafting every single person to the show they were already on. Whatever, it was gimmick. I gave the match 4 stars, by the way. That's how good the action was, despite the fact that we knew exactly who was going to win.
It was a stupidly fun match.
Yeah. But I did for the first half of it though. I don't remember the first half of the match from the first time we watched it, because I was like, MJF. Yeah. Like Juice Robinson is like what snapped me out of my. I can't stop thinking about the thing that just happened. We're not an hour into the show yet, and the biggest thing that should have closed the show.
Right.
So even me, Mr. AEW fan, super fan number one, MJF is so much of a force of nature. They should have known. You can't put that in the opening hour.
Yeah. It was a decision. Yeah. I was trying to think, like, did anyone ever come back mid-show like that before? The only thing I can draw some kind of comparison to, it's not even a comeback, but when Seth Rollins appeared on a takeover prior to a WrestleMania.
When the Triple H, the actual return. It was on a Raw, but it was like mid-show, right?
I'm
not saying that like
it wasn't the main event. It certainly was not the main event.
MJF is just so into his like wrestling history and making those like the whole CM Punk feud was just those two making like constant references. He loves that so much that he may have wanted to do like I'm going to do it the way that Triple H did it, because that was like one of the most memorable returns.
All right, I like it again.
We talked about before that Triple H return. I love it, and I don't like Triple H. But that was awesome. Like, it was so awesome.
Madison Square Garden. It was the best heel crowd, and the place was enormously loud.
Yeah, it was like stone cold loud for a dude that wasn't really even that super over
No.
before he went out.
No. Came back.
You know what
Gas
though?
to the gills.
I'll give the live AEW crowd their due.
Crowd was awesome.
Like they stayed hot for 4.5 hours,
awesome.
even though they just like had to scream for 20 straight minutes when
Yeah.
MJF was talking the whole time. Like, I would have been pretty tired, and like if we went to the show, I would have just been talking at you guys about like the MJF thing, and like not even looking at the ring for a while. Like
I would have had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm at that age. Yeah, the AEW women's.
Are you old enough yet, Dave? Where
I'm waking up in the middle of the
piss
night.
dribbles out of your dick no matter how much you
No.
shake it off. That was a fun discovery like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That I have to like if I really want zero drips, I have to like whip my dick around like a helicopter like to get it all out because the muscles inside or whatever they're not as taut anymore. It's really irritating.
It's more spongy material.
Whatever the fuck is in there, the hole doesn't hold the liquid in.
Sure.
After you're done peeing, you can't do the 2 shake and fucking close your pants or else you get piss stains.
Well, shake it once,
comes
that's
with the
fine.
mid-40s.
Shake it twice, that's okay. Shake it 3 times, you're playing with yourself.
It's going on the list, Dave.
This is the anthem. Throw all your hands up.
Every time I get done peeing, it looks like I am vigorously masturbating, like 100% of the time because I don't want piss in my underwear.
Sure.
I asked my dad, I'm like, what do you do? Like as soon as it started happening to me, because he's 70, I'm like, what do you do with your dick when you pee, Dad? And he was like, I don't know. I just it dribbles. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, do you have to do it like I do? Because I'm a little obsessive over it. I like shake the shit out of the thing because I really don't want pee in my underwear. But I don't see any other way except like putting tissue in there.
Maybe
and that feels weird and like
maybe
a
more
grandma thing or something.
Maybe more liquids for you. So
I drink like 8
8
gallons of water a day. I drink more water than like just about anybody I know outside my own wife.
Yeah.
So like I'm definitely hydrated enough.
Yeah.
You see me. I refill this thing like 3 times every time we do a show.
That's true.
It's a big ass. These are the big giant biggest mason jar you can get.
That's
I
right.
drink from all day long every day.
Well, the AEW Women's World Championship match was next between Toni Storm and Serena Deeb. Went 15 minutes 38 seconds.
This match was a fucking banger. I think that it suffered badly because they were not able to, partly because of Deeb and she just doesn't understand, like it doesn't have a hold on a character. And on top of the not being able to cut a promo, like, and the impending Mariah May stuff that is going to kind of ruin anything that Toni Storm does story-wise until they pull the trigger on the Mariah May thing, because that's the thing that everybody's waiting for.
You think? I think all in.
I think who knows if she's healthy or not, but I think the big woman's thing that they're going to do it all in is Jamie Hayter because it's the most popular. When she went out, she was the most popular women's wrestler in the company. She's British.
She's been gone a long time,
which would indicate that maybe
also they don't need her to come back at all in now.
Well, they would need her too, but I think that the place would fucking.
Well, of course they would
erupt. They were erupted for Saraya.
Yeah.
Jamie Hayter's like 1 billion times more popular than Saraya, so I do who knows?
It'd be cool, yeah.
It would be a good place to pay it off. I still wonder if Tony Khan's he needs to start looking at All In like his WrestleMania because it is his biggest deal. Yeah. But he books it like a giant house show kind of
because he wants to get
everybody on.
Books another pay-per-view 2 weeks later. No,
at least it's 2 weeks.
He did us a favor this time.
One.
Not a fucking house show next
time.
At
least now there's we at least have a couple of TV shows in between that we can bridge the gap to story-wise or whatever.
Yeah.
If he didn't book everybody, he's trying to be too nice. He wants everybody on the All-In card, which means you can't really do anything great or interesting. Last time they did one interesting thing, MJF and Cole. Right. Everything else was a bunch of great matches, but house show multi-man matches.
Yeah.
And just in front of 80,000 people.
Yeah.
Treat it like your WrestleMania. People will react accordingly. And I hope he books it that way this time. And if he does, then yes, it would be a great time to pay off the longest story they have going in the women's division. And Mariah May is fucking, she's awesome.
Mariah May's great.
This match though,
the match was great.
Just the match, if I didn't know anything else, other stuff about it, it was like close to a 5-star match.
It was great.
I think I ended up giving it like 3.5. Oh no, I'm sorry, 4. I gave it 4.5 stars. But like, it would have been a 5-star match if I could have had some emotional investment. Even like the Deeb's.
Did you know that she had Crohn's or something?
Yeah.
What did she have? Crohn's?
Something. I don't know. I fell asleep like Tony Storm.
They omitted it entirely from the pre-match
because
promo.
it was nothing anyway.
No.
It was like a dumb. And also Tony Storm like fucking cooks her on it
Eviscerated
the
her.
next day.
Yeah.
But like Deeb, I said it while we were watching it too. Even her gear is like fucking just raw. She's coming out to like super bombastic Ric Flair shit with a cape and flag, and it's all sparkly. And
She
she's
looked like
Serena Deeb. She wrestles like Bret the Hitman Hart, like literally wrestles like Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah.
She should be wearing all black, be like a hitman, like the most dangerous woman in the world kind of thing.
Right.
Not like Charlotte Flair. It doesn't work, and that disconnect makes it so a match that was like worked literally perfectly. Like these two worked a perfect match. They didn't make any mistakes, and they did a bunch of awesome stuff.
Well, there was one thing that another thing on this in this match on this show that I would like to never see in wrestling again. I fucking hate when people put other people in not submission moves, but like they tie their limbs up so they can't move. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And Serena Deeb does it to Toni Storm, where she like ties her own arms into her own legs and then sits on her, renders her immobile.
I don't love that. But
It's
like
the dumbest.
What I mean by perfect is like they did what they were trying to do every one of the moves. I do think it's a dumb move. But she made up for it by doing a half crab and then pounding Toni Storm's goddamn leg off the mat and then putting the half crab back on. And I was like, I've never seen anybody do that, and it looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And she did a bunch of other incredible things.
Oh no, I'm not discounting anything else in the match.
But she's a creative wrestler on a video game because I know nothing else about her except she's got all the best moves and she doesn't ever make a mistake.
Right.
So like I can't be a 5-star match because I just don't care. Toni Storm's got all the character in the world. But Deeb I just know that she's like the best ring.
Yeah.
She's Dean Malenko.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But even Dean Malenko understood at least his vibe should not be like bombastic. Sparkly, glittery stuff.
Hey, he wore a little vest.
Vince tried to make him into James Bond for a little while. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Somebody thought it was
genius.
The story they did have in the match is Mariah May wants to throw the towel in.
Yeah. I loved the little story they had going on because it didn't interfere with the in-ring action at all. It was like going on the outside, so you could like watch that happening while they're still putting on this like absolute banger the entire time.
Yeah.
Like
she wants to throw the towel in. Luther stops her. By the way, this is the whole time Toni Storm is in the single crab that you were just talking about.
Nastiest looking one.
It was tough
ever. I think she's got the best one going right now.
Oh, yeah, Lance Storm retired, so someone has to. So Luther stops Mariah May from throwing in the towel, and then he grabs the towel. Toni Storm gets to the ring ropes, and like once the hold is broken, she rolls to the outside. She sees Luther with the towel, thinks Luther wanted to do it, calls him a bastard, and then throws a towel into the stands.
Toni needs to think about the history she has had with Luther so far. And she's delusional, so I understand what she would.
But
think.
it's good. It's like it furthers the storyline.
Yeah.
We don't have to like pay it off right now,
and they're not making it super obvious.
Yeah.
Like Mariah's clearly gonna.
I mean, we have this omnipotent view now where we're seeing everything, and she's not seeing everything. So it's really fun. And what I really liked about this match is they crescendo. When they used an avalanche version of a finisher correctly in this match, because the regular version was not
didn't work, or didn't work enough.
It didn't work. So she's like, fucking, we have Prime. So what happened was Toni Storm hits the Storm Zero, doesn't fucking work, and she's doing what Becky Lynch does if she can't win with a fucking body slam.
But Toni Storm usually does. It's not super protected, but she wins 95% of the time with that Storm Zero.
Her reaction was justified for her character. She can't fucking believe it because Storm Zero always wins. So Serena Deeb is going up top. She finds herself up top, and Toni Storm does an avalanche pile driver.
It's like one of my 2 or 3 favorite spots on the show. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do a regular pile driver off the. It was like middle rope. It's basically an avalanche pile driver from the turnbuckles. Have you?
No.
It was a straight fucking
like Deeb like kicked her feet up. It wasn't like she fell forward.
It was mostly
like
Deeb. I've watched this thing like 10 times and slow one time too. She's incredible. And like she does the Kenny Omega thing where at the last like millisecond the tuck happens.
Oh,
like
okay.
saves it till the absolute last moment.
Yeah.
Like Kenny Omega does it. Ospreay does a different thing where he doesn't tuck at all. He just like let people hit him. But it still doesn't hurt him somehow.
Right.
But like Kenny Omega's the best I've ever seen at doing that. Like just last second, and Deeb did exactly that on this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to take that risk, a pile driver off the goddamn turnbuckle. It's like,
And Tony, who's paying attention, doesn't even think that's going to work. Picks her up, hits her with another Storm Zero, and that's the W.
Like the swerve thing, I liked. Be smart. I like it.
That
like,
is a correct fucking use of escalation in finishers.
The whole match was an escalation too.
Yes.
It was like we talked about it a little bit in the Randall Keith Orton Gunther match from the other pay-per-view. Go listen to that show. Perfect escalation throughout the end, like intensity rising. Also on the Cody and Logan Paul match, rising. It got more and more brutal as the match went on. And these two can both really fucking go.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that Tony Storm decided to go back to wrestling like Tony Storm and abandon the character stuff, because that character Tony Storm against Deeb would have kind of sucked. This match kicked ass, but unfortunately it felt like a kick-ass match that I was watching on Collision, because I knew who was winning, and I don't know anything about Serena Deeb except that she had some kind of an illness.
Oh,
and then she started. She started in the Straight Edge Society.
It's a shame while she was there. While Punk was there, those two never even like winked at each other.
Yeah.
It would have been cool. This is a match I think could have been not on the show. Just my opinion.
I just said, I think it felt like I was watching Collision. Like,
Orange Cassidy.
You know what you should have done with this?
Yeah.
Put it on a Dynamite as the main event on a show where like Mercedes 1A has a match too. So you're making a statement. We're putting two women's matches on. One of them is going to be the goddamn main event.
Yeah.
This would have been an unbelievable main event for Dynamite. I gave it 4.5 stars.
Oh, I meant the next match.
But like,
I liked that this was on.
Okay. But I think that about this one too. Yeah. Like it was incredible, but the stakes, I never felt the stakes outside of the actual moves.
I think
like the escalation of the moves was so great that I felt danger for them. Like, but they didn't do enough.
No, they tried. That's why they did the illness thing. But also too, I think politically, I think keeping this off the show would have been So Tony would have.
If they did it in the way that I'm asking for, I think it would probably help them in the long run. Like the women's division needs to start getting more than one match on Dynamite,
right?
And that would be a nice way to kick it off.
They have enough fucking stories,
and they have enough incredible performers right now. But still 4.5 stars for that one. This next one absolutely should not have been on the show. No. Like, no way at all.
We've seen this already.
It was very confusing. The best thing about it was Orange Cassidy against Trent, and they've been doing the story, which is like a decent story. And I liked it. Like Orange Cassidy came out to the Pixies again, which is like his character has been this darker version for the last like half year at least.
He's even got a black T-shirt.
He's wearing a black T-shirt, darker denim kind of thing. I like that, and he's dealing with some dark shit happening in his life, so it really fit. I was very happy about that. Match was like pretty good Dynamite match.
Yep,
it was a pretty good OC Trent Beretta Dynamite match. They're both really good workers. And Orange Cassidy fucking won, which, what? Where are we going now from here? I talked about it on the Dynamite.
Yeah.
I did. When he first came out on that Dynamite, it was back to Jane again at the beginning of the show. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? But then later when he was in the Gauntlet, it seems like he's going to stick with the Pixies. So that's good. But like, they're continuing the story. But the bad guy already lost. So, like, what are we doing?
But he leaves all dejected, right?
Yeah.
Did he not turn? Did Don Callis not absorb him?
Don Callis hired Trent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And Statlander turned on Orange.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, that's
how Trent was able to sneak up on him. Because it would have been Orange Cassidy. Like, he's always one of the smartest guys in the room as his character. Like, he knows more than you think he does. Which it would have been pretty bad if he would have allowed Trent to just sneak up on him in like the Don Callis segment, because everybody saw that coming. The way they got around that was they had the shock moment of Chris Statlander coming out like, fuck off, Orange Cassidy. My best friend is joining the Don Callis family, and Trent had snuck up behind him. Now besuited, like wearing a all black suit and stuff, and then he attacks and beats the shit out of
Trent's wearing a suit?
Yeah. And then he beats the hell out of, because he's in the Don Callis family now.
No, it's good.
A change of it. And that's, it's ultimately what cost Orange Cassidy the Gauntlet match, because he was wrestling with a kayfabe concussion, essentially, like bloodied head.
Yeah.
And that So that like the story, cool. But here at the pay-per-view, I still would have had Trent go over because like, well, like I said, I wouldn't have put the match on this show. Save it for the next pay-per-view.
No, there's no upside to Orange Cassidy winning. And also, too, Trent's new gear. I said it at your house. He's got the pee-pee pants gear. You're not a jockey.
I think it's going to be gone already because he already seems to have changed his aesthetic to go into the Don Callis family.
Well,
hopefully.
Yeah.
And the best thing to come out of this is Pixies and Where Is My Mind. That's a better theme for him.
Yes.
It was Jane worked for a certain version of this character that no longer exists, especially now that Best Friends are gone stuff. He needs to just
totally
do the Pixies because it's a badass song. I gave this match. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Finish of the match had Trent Beretta had Orange Cassidy into a go-go plato, a.k.a. Hell's Gate.
No, fuck that.
And Orange Cassidy flips into a pinning combo, and he pins Trent Beretta, who looks dejected after the match. After Trent's trying to leave, and Renee's trying to intercept him to interview him, and also Rocky Raccoon's out there. And Trent says he's not doing this, he's done, and he walks through the crowd. My first reaction is like, "Oh, your stuff's in the back. Why? Like, where are you going? You have to go back and get your stuff."
I didn't understand the end of this thing at all. I will say after Dynamite, like it's better. But like we're talking about the pay-per-view right now, and on the night, even when we were watching it, I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
You know, it would have been really cool if they did like something where they cut the match from the show or something like that. Like, But like you have EVPs, like and.
Yeah, you could build it into a storyline.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
We decided that you're not quite up to snuff for this show. We're going to put you on Dynamite this week. Sorry, Orange.
Yeah, but even then Trent can stay dejected, like upset because like, oh fuck,
now I'm getting taken off. I haven't been on a pay-per-view in 3 cycles or whatever.
Yeah. And like you have the same outcome, and then Orange Cassidy gets another opportunity to title, and I haven't watched the Gauntlet, but was Trent not in the Gauntlet, correct?
No.
So
Orange was, Trent was not.
So that's another thing he's fucking out of. Like, so he's constantly having opportunities taken away from him every angle.
Gauntlet was so great.
And and the only one that's taking him in is fucking
it's invisible hand.
This would have worked itself out. Whatever.
2 3/4. It's definitely the lowest review I've ever given an Orange Cassidy match. But the match itself wasn't bad. Yeah. But like for all the things they were saying, 2 3/4. Like they shouldn't have been on the show.
No.
This was the start of I think a 3-match sequence that I was like, we could have cut a lot of this. Spoiler alert, 3 matches in a row, my star rating starts with a 2-something. So for an AEW pay-per-view, it's very rare to get 1 to anything.
Right.
Like and the next 2 are
great. And the next one was the FTW Championship match, Hook versus Shibata versus Chris Jericho.
I like the Jericho promo thing he's got going. I like his story. I don't like the matches that are coming from them, though.
I hated this.
Big Bill was the only thing I liked.
Yeah.
Like, when Big Bill interfered, like, I giggled a little bit at the dice, but not much. I was kind of not even paying attention. I was, like, talking to you guys.
Yeah.
That's a good indication of, like, how, like,
where we're at.
Whatever. They tried to make Shibata do a Death Valley driver off the top rope. Like, have you ever watched Shibata wrestle? I don't think I've ever seen the guy get on the turnbuckle. His
spatial awareness is not terrible. That great. Well, he was too close.
Yeah, he doesn't do that shit. He's not that kind of wrestler.
Yeah.
Zack Sabre Jr. is not getting on the top rope either.
Yeah.
Like, it was dumb to book that. And it was like a messed up spot that also added to the wonkiness. The best thing about it was when Big Bill came in with all his charisma and giantness and scariness and excitement and beat the shit out of everybody. And then Hook did a suplex on Big Bill off the apron through a table that almost killed him too. So it was like the scariest spot because the leg like shot. It was like it could have very easily impaled him the way because he's so big. The table just absolutely shattered. But the table, he was very close. His torso was very close to the table leg.
Like an inch or two.
like you might have been touching
close.
his side
when
it came up, and it looked awesome. But he was the only thing in the match that I actually cared about at all.
Yeah, even the surprise at the end, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, they added a member to and it's like a more what you would think of as a guy that is going to be under the learning tree. It's Brian Keith. And I talk about that more on the Dynamite episode. If you guys haven't listened to that, my solo Dynamite episode, go listen to my thoughts there. I think that, like, for Brian Keith, it's a good thing or whatever, but it wasn't like a pay-per-view worthy surprise.
No.
It was a indie guy that, like, a third of AEW fans are like pretty familiar with.
Yeah.
He like the guy that I, as a person that tries to pay attention to this stuff, like didn't know who he was at all like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
It took him being like in the top 10 on PWI's top 500 or whatever for me to even like look up his shit.
Yeah.
And he's very good, but like he's not a face you recognize. So it made me think of like when the Dark Order first did their big reveal at the beginning of when AEW kicked off, and everybody was like, "Who are these guys?"
Yeah.
They're all acting like it's a big deal,
Yeah.
and everybody's like, "I don't know who." Yeah, like they did a big gimmick, Nintendo gimmick or something on. They were the Super Smash Brothers on the Indies. I found that out like 3 years later. But like at the time, I was like, I don't know who any of these are. Why are they acting like this is a big deal?
Yeah.
Like nobody else is.
You know what else wasn't on that show when the Dark Order debuted? The return of fucking MJF.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there should have been no more debuts
Well,
after that.
Like I'm okay with Juice because he's such. It's a weird one.
Well, we also know who he is.
Also, like doubly hurts the fact that like Brian Keith is then your next big reveal.
Yeah.
He had like one Dynamite match and a couple of Collision matches.
Yeah.
It's like he cut a nice promo on Dynamite. Told the story well on the Dynamite. That all should have happened on Dynamite. There's no reason for this to be on a pay-per-view match that was going 4.5 hours.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
2 stars. 2 stars flat. It's the lowest review I've ever given for an AEW pay-per-view match.
The finish I was bitching about at your house.
Terrible finish too.
So the Jericho pinned Shibata while he's in a garbage can.
Yeah.
And I was I spent a lot of time being angry about this since I think Stus was getting annoyed with me. Aubrey counts Shibata's shoulders maybe to the mat while his whole upper torso is in a fucking garbage can.
I believe this is where I was like, Dave, after you talked about it for a while, I'm like, I saw Mick Foley get pinned by a goddamn forklift.
I went on for way too. I was just so annoyed. I think I was just pretty bored.
You
at
were
this
probably
point.
mad at the stupid match and then taking it out on the finish. Why? I don't like it. Even Shibata, whose character I have liked very much, but the reason I like it is because they've been juxtaposing the goofy translator thing backstage and talking fashion with Renee with like the killer, the wrestler guy when he gets in the ring. And in this match, he did goofy shit, and then they had him try a spot that like was not gonna ever work for a guy like him.
Right.
So he looked terrible.
Yeah.
And he's not terrible. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Just use him right, and there was no reason for him to really even be in the match.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have that much skin in the game here.
Right.
It's like a Samoa Joe, Hook, Jericho, Big Bill thing. Like, Shibata's just kind of there. If you're going to put him in, don't put him in and then also have him do a bunch of stuff that, like, hurts the character and, like, hurts how dangerous he seems. And, like, I didn't like this
Don't
match.
have him in the match then.
Again, lowest review I've ever given. Just because there were a couple of solid spots, I'll give it. And there was no like big crazy botch. There's a near one with Big Bill almost died. And like it was a 2. It was still like action. They still worked fast and everything. But that's the best I can say about it.
Right.
It's like they kept the pace going. Like
Absolutely.
And the next one was okay. So this is one of the weirdest reviews I've ever had to write. I think I would have given this match 4.5 stars, except for the result, which dropped it down to 2.25 for me. Like everything else, Konosuke Takeshita worked such a great dominant match against Jon Moxley here, an injured Jon Moxley here. That was like a 4.5 star performance, a dominant like monster
he's perfect.
beating up a guy that's hurt
Yeah.
performance, and it was great. It was like Moxley was selling real well. And now I think he was selling so much because I think he's been told he has to lose to Evil, and it's Evil, so he doesn't want to lose too much steam from that. And so he's like, oh, I'm going to really play up this arm like it's going to fall off or whatever.
He was taped up like he had third-degree burns.
It was like I said, everybody else uses the friction tape, the kinesio stuff. Moxley wrapped his whole everything, arm, shoulder, like a mummy. And then Takeshita like just killed him for like 15 minutes. And then Moxley got like 2 moves, 1 for some reason.
I was so disgusted by this.
Like Frankie, shout out. He was right. I don't know why we didn't think of this while we were talking about it, but like NJPW is not going to let you pin their champ on not their show. But what you do then is don't fucking book Jon Moxley. Give Takeshita to somebody else of your giant roster of awesome wrestlers to do this with.
Yep.
And let him win.
Have a number 1 contenders match.
This is the guy that I'm like,
eliminator.
I want them to like do a surprise world title win for Takeshita.
Yeah.
That's how great I think he is and can be.
Yeah.
he doesn't need to do like nonsensical lose to Moxley wins LOL
He loses
bullshit
all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like
It's fucking dumb.
enough that people were already complaining about it. Don't book him in a match that like nobody's going to let him win, like
Right.
on a booking side.
Correct.
Everybody recognizes that he's incredible.
Yeah.
So book him that way. Like
I was so angry.
put him in there. Yeah, like
So angry.
I've not been this pissed about an AEW thing since when Billy Gunn like dominated Jay White.
Yeah.
Because that was the same kind of thing. I'm like, this makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
No.
And this and culminating with what Moxley did this week on Dynamite too, which I'll save you guys some time because I talk about it for about 25 straight minutes on Moxley. He's been the same character for 5 years. You can't do that in pro wrestling. There's nobody.
He added death jitsu to his arsenal.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's all the same, exactly the same. And I was a fan. I like it. He's still good at working. Like he worked a great match on Dynamite that I did not enjoy 1 second of.
Right.
Because I have no investment because I'm super bored with the character, and everyone else is too. Yeah. Well, I don't know. He still gets big reactions, not just for the song either. He gets like Moxley chants during the matches. I want to go to a live show so I can ask the people around me, like, how are you not as sick and tired of this as I am?
Yeah,
because it's nonstop.
He's a recognizable face. He's a WWE guy. He was in the fucking Shield.
You need to fucking have him like.
Dude, I'm on your side with
weirdo.
this one.
No, I know. I'm not arguing with you. I'm arguing with the world and AEW.
Yeah.
Why you're like maybe second most exciting in-ring wrestler after like Will Ospreay that everyone like sees as a giant star if you just let him be one. Why would you have him do this? Like he looked like a monster for most of the match because all of his offense is like incredible looking.
Yeah. But
then when it didn't work and like he got it turned around on him and lost very quickly, it makes him look terrible. Like he's still Takeshita, so the next time he gets in the ring, again, I'll be like, oh yeah, he's still awesome. Yeah. But like you can't do that forever. You got to just let him get a few wins.
This is kind of what like.
But there's no reason, like Death Triangle, there's a reason for it. Right. Takeshi's never been hurt. He's an incredible wrestler. He's like put on 5-star matches. You debuted your goddamn top babyface against him in a pay-per-view because you knew that they were going to put on a classic.
Right.
And he did. He like stepped up. So he steps up when the pressure's on him, the spotlight's on him.
Right.
There's nothing holding this guy back except the booking.
They're going to render this fucker ineffective. That's literally what I was saying about Death Triangle for different reasons.
Yeah.
You got to let guys win once in a while.
I'm not pissed at the Death Triangle thing because I understand.
Sure. But
like, there's no reason for Takeshita.
I hate this philosophy
he's
where
he's a great heel. He's like everything.
But people say like, oh, heels can lose, and they need to fucking win once in a while.
But they can't lose every match.
Correct.
Right? You can't lose every single time.
But that's the argument you'll get in return. Like, oh, he's a heel. They can lose all the time and still look. It's like, no, they can't.
And also, I was like just straight up cheering for him because Moxley's not a babyface, and he's still
the
like
match.
The same.
Before the match, look at what we have. The world champ versus a fucking up and coming future of your company in an eliminator match that's going to guarantee a world title victory. Minus Frankie's like sage aha moment, and we're all like, oh, this. The only reason they're booking this is to put a rocket up Takeshita's ass in New Japan. And now they took the title opportunity away from him.
There's 100 guys they could have put in there. Takeshita could have put a 4.75 star match with and win.
Have a number one contenders match.
Yeah, absolutely.
Boom. Like, give him a W on the biggest pay-per-view of the year. It's fucking stupid.
If you didn't want to use him for the stupid Jericho thing, how about Takeshita versus Big Bill? I'd pay money for just that match.
Yeah, they're not going to make Big Bill lose anytime soon, though.
I know.
He's
but
the
like,
heater.
A lot more interesting than Moxley versus Takeshita. Like, it's just a name that popped in my head. They have a giant roster of incredible wrestlers.
Yeah.
Like,
but Brian Cage.
That'd be super fun.
Yeah.
That would be a super fun match.
Yeah.
And you can definitely give Takeshita that win.
Yes.
And Cage has proven that he is he's of the level of a pay-per-view match quality. He can go out there and always give you a pay-per-view level match.
He's kind of Teflon too. Like
he's like I've said before. I think he's the best jobber to the stars, and I don't mean that in a negative way. That there is on earth. Like I think he's the most. You can beat him literally every time.
Yeah.
And because he's such a freak in the ring. he will always convince me that like, oh, he's still a threat
Yeah.
as soon as I start watching him wrestle again. But I don't want Takeshita to get anywhere near that kind of shit, because Takeshita's got all the other stuff too that Cage doesn't have: the charisma and the character stuff, and like intimidation and like originality in the way that he wrestles. I've never seen anybody like him. A guy that's his size that moves like he does. I don't think it's ever happened.
Right.
Yeah. No. Like, please start letting him win some goddamn matches.
I'm with you. I was disgusted by it. Utterly disgusted by this nonsense.
I actually wish I could have given it a lower score. I gave it 2.25. But like in good conscience, I'm like, this would have been a 4+ star match, except for the last 10 seconds or whatever.
LOL Moxley
wins. So I couldn't drop it all the way down to like where as pissed as I was and continue to be about the finish.
I hear you.
But yeah, I don't want to punish Takeshita for stupid booking and a misunderstanding of Jon Moxley, what wrestling fans need. Right. And that's change.
Yes.
Can't be the same all the time.
No.
Even fucking Hulk Hogan knew that.
Yeah.
Dyed his beard and mustache shit different and started wearing black. Like, got to change some shit.
Yeah.
So a semi-return to form for 99% of the next match. I thought was very, very good. It was the TNT title match, barbed wire steel cage match. Adam Copeland, champion, against Malachi Black. It was a nasty fucking death match, like a straight up like a death match.
Yeah,
to the point where maybe a little intense for me even. Like, I'm not I like hardcore matches with some blood, but I'm not a death match guy. I'm like a Nick Gage death match. This was like a Nick Gage ass death match.
Right.
And the spots were all like brutal and nasty and looked great. It was a great death match.
Yeah.
I was particularly impressed with Malachi after Frankie with his like 3 things that he said that were all brilliant. Halfway through this match, he's like, I don't think I've ever seen Malachi in a hardcore match. And I was like, holy shit, you're right. He's having like the best death match I've ever seen. Yeah. And I don't think he's ever been in a hardcore match. Like Edge clearly has been fantasizing about this shit for like years. Yeah. He's fulfilling all his fantasies, which led to the worst moment of this match and the worst feeling I had on the entire pay-per-view. And the thing that I was talking about being actually upset about when you were talking about how Pac sells and how Danielson sometimes they sell as real as possible. So like over the course of this match, and it was every barbed wire thing you could possibly raking across the face. They did the Jesus thing I was talking about. They gave Edge a crown of thorns. There was a point at which House of Black came out and teased that they were going to side with Edge, but then they didn't. It's just the match is like a ton of. Malachi hits like an incredible table spot with through the barbed wire, and Malachi's taking a bunch of barbed wire stuff to the face too. Like this felt like an answer to all the people that were like, oh, he doesn't want to work singles matches or whatever. He doesn't care. So he's like, oh, I'll just go out and put on like Swerve Strickland, Hangman Page, Texas Death level violent match.
Yeah.
I was very impressed by Malachi. But then Copeland decides to do something that anybody who's been watching wrestling for any length of time knows is a giant mistake, which is why you never see it. Anybody who's over 6'2", you don't jump from tall heights. Edge goes to the top of the cage to drop an elbow on a prone on a table in the ring, Malachi. Tall guys run the risk of, because they can't control their body mid-flight as well as smaller guys, kind of freaking out. And when you kind of freak out, what you do is you bounce back into what is natural for you, which is putting yourself in a standing position, which is by fucking far, especially for a tall guy, the most dangerous position, as Psycho Sid can very well tell you, and a bunch of other guys who have tried, tall guys who have tried doing even top rope moves where they end up landing on their feet. Edge just lands on his feet. He hits the elbow, but his feet absolutely hit first. And as soon as it happened, all of us were like, his leg's broken. It's got to be broken. Like that is a broken leg. There's no selling here. You can't fake that. He just jumped from 25 feet and landed on his feet. And he's a 6'5", 260-pound man. You can't walk away from that unscathed. Right. I'll give him after he did it, he was able to do a couple moves, and he did break his leg or his ankle. Is what it sounds like
his
now.
tibia.
So it was probably his tibia,
shin bone.
probably a low tibia, because it kept going back and forth with ankle, and so it's probably. I mean, it would make sense. It's where you break it.
Yeah.
And he was able to like still do a spear, which is like Jesus Christ, you're a bad motherfucker. But like, that is where Tony Khan needs to put the brakes on. When like I love that he's given Edge like his dream run, his ability to just like do all these things that I wanted to do my whole career. I never really had the opportunity to. He's getting to do them all, and almost all of them are like good ideas, and they help out other younger stars, and like all these matches are great. This match was great,
right?
But there is a point where somebody has to say like, you're 6'5", you can't jump off the top of this like Hell in a Cell sized cage, because like the risk of you breaking your legs is like 50%. Nobody that size does that, and it's for a good reason. Somebody should have stopped him. He's not Darby. You can't just do that at 50 years old.
Yeah.
And it bummed me out because I've been enjoying watching him, and now he's going to be off TV for a long time because he's got a broken tibia.
Yep.
I'm glad we're getting a tournament, or like a mini tournament and then a ladder match out of it. Like, but I wanted Edge to keep doing his thing because it was cool. This match was very cool. Like, the way it finished was kind of cool too. Like after the tease, the House of Black tease, Gangrel shows up because I forgot to mention Edge when he came out to the Brood like entrance.
It's fucking stupid.
It was
he just
cool.
did it in WWE. That's why I'm like,
he did. I don't remember that.
He came out for WrestleMania with like a bunch of fire. Like it was and they kept calling him like
Judgment Day though.
They kept they kept calling him like Brood Edge or whatever.
This was like blood. Like they did the blood thing on.
I understand.
It's just the thing that I think is funny is that like I was there. People don't remember the Brood wasn't fucking over. Like the Brood was like a cool entrance. They weren't over at all ever at any point. They got over when Edge and Christian left and started doing their funny 5-second poses.
This is the Blue Meanie, man. He was never over, but he's a nostalgia pop.
Yes,
it's when Sabu came in. It's like, the fuck is he doing here?
I was happy for Gangrel because he's like 100 pounds lighter than last I saw him.
Identical than he did 30 years ago.
And like last I saw him, he was like super big and he looked like strung out. He looked good there.
Fantastic.
He hit a couple of
the Impalers look great.
Impaler DDTs. I've heard his hips are like out of commission. So that's why they had him like appear in the ring, do his 2 moves, and then you didn't have to see him doing anything else because he can't really walk.
Yeah.
But then Edge hit a spear with his broken leg and got the win.
Yeah.
So I was like, I enjoyed the little nostalgia thing, but I was feeling so shitty about that like spot. I saw it coming and then it happened.
Yeah.
And like
how hard he hesitated at the top too. It was like, oh no.
You're too big. You're tall guys can't do those.
It's not even that he's too big. Yeah, that is a big
height
part
is
of
a
it.
Huge part of that particular thing happening.
I'm not saying it's not, but like also too, he's not a dive from the top of the cage successfully kind of guy.
He's done like a lot of hardcore stuff in his career, but it's like spears. Like it's not Mick
He's
Foley stuff.
It's also a different like
Mick probably was the biggest guy ever to be able to do it, and he destroyed his body doing it. Like
there's different physics you have to account when you're like turning your body from 10 feet higher than you're usually. You jump off the top rope, you have that down. You've been doing it your whole career.
Yeah,
you're 10 feet higher now.
Yes,
and like you have to land. And also too, I think the table is a little too close.
It was,
and I think that's what made him pump fake.
The freak out factor is what makes people do the stand up straight thing. And he was definitely freaked out, and he put his legs down, and that's the word. Like it would have been better landing on his head. Like there a higher chance of him coming away unscathed landing on his head than landing the way that he did.
I was hoping he was just going to do a senton, like just kick his feet, because that would have been very safe.
And that's usually what they do with people that are not necessarily that they do that slow kind of senton thing.
It's basically what Shane does. Like he drops an elbow, but like he's basically
athletic
just
enough to do. But like but the height part, like Edge is pretty athletic, but you're 6'5". You cannot like 6 feet like Will Ospreay and 6'5".
Yeah.
The ability to alter your trajectory or your body in the air is like drastically different because of those 5 inches.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And Edge, again, like you said, not used to doing it, so he obviously freaked out. I give him major props for finishing the match, and he didn't come away looking like his leg was as badly broken as it actually was.
Right.
So he did look like a badass at the end of it, and I really, outside of that, I really enjoyed the match.
Yeah. I really wanted Malachi to win. I just want them to do something with him, because he just doesn't do shit.
Who did I pick?
Did I? You won that one. But I won the main event.
You won the main event. Those were the only two we differed on,
yeah.
right? Yeah, because I wanted extra points for MJF.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, by the way, it was a wash. So it's anticlimactic, but the champion retains and countouts are like that kind of bullshit. So Dave gets to hold on to the title until the next big four WWE or AEW pay-per-view by a technicality. and technically, I predicted more things correct because I tied up Jeff.
What do you hear? I hear some. Oh, it's my victory song. Boop, 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 boop,
I'm surprised it's not. Just to fucking piss me off.
New.
I hate it so much.
New.
Did they think it was cool?
I thought it was cool.
You were a child. It's the worst. It's not a song.
New.
Not a song. Casio. 4-year-old on a Casio. 4.25 stars for this match. It was a kick-ass death match.
It was super fucking good.
It was kick-ass death match. Blood everywhere. I was grossed me out a couple times. I turned away from the TV like it was a Nick Gage match.
Yeah,
that's what they were trying to do. So like it was really good.
It was really, really fucking good.
The tease with the House of Black worked great too.
Awesome.
I totally bought it, and I was like, I got me. You guys got me.
Didn't Frankie say that was going to happen too, and that he was wrong?
Yes,
because he wasn't infallible in his predictions.
He's not infallible.
Well, he was until that.
Yeah,
he just quietly sitting there like the Oracle.
He kept saying super funny stuff too, and I just say that louder when I was talking about like why does the crowd always go? I talked about it on this podcast too, but like why does the crowd always go so crazy when the ref kicks out people like a manager or whatever your entourage? Every time the ref does "you're out of here," the crowd pops like it's Stone Cold coming out to help Mick Foley win the title.
Right.
And then Frankie's like, "Oh yeah, that's the ref's finishing move," and I laughed for like 20 minutes. I'm like, "Say that louder! I don't want to take credit for that."
That is pretty funny.
Next, we had the AEW TBS title match between Willow Nightingale with Chris Statlander in very heel clothes and Stokely Hathaway versus Mercedes Moné, who, if you didn't believe that she was a heel at this point, Mercedes Moné comes out to a marching band and a video that compared her to Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks. And then proceeded to put on one of the best women's matches I've ever seen in my life. My second favorite match on this show. And I don't think I would really change anything about it except for one thing that kept it from being 5 stars. I gave it 4 3/4. I forgot as much as a fan of Sasha Banks as I have been for her career going back to NXT. I always forget like how good of a bumper she is. Mm-hmm. And for Willow, for like a big powerful, it's a match made in heaven.
Right.
She folds herself in half in ways like constantly that look like, oh my God, you've broken every bone in that woman's body.
Yeah.
She's so good at that.
Yeah.
And she's so good at doing the heel stuff, character stuff during the course of a match.
Right.
As bad as she is doing promos, that's how excellent she is between the ropes.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Could not have lived up to the hype any better for an in-ring performance, which she had to do because, like we talked about, there's been a long time, a lot of like build, and a lot of naysayers with good reason because it's been kind of a weird. At least it started kind of weird. I like the way it ended up, but the way that they introduced her and stuff. I mean, after a while, I did understand that they were basically doing the old Jericho bit where when he came back. Everybody thought he was a babyface, but then he would do the thing where he just ran around the ring a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And he did it like on 7 straight shows.
Right.
This was a version of that. But it went a long time. So it's a long time of people saying, well, wait till she gets in the ring. Wait till she gets in the ring. So then it's a lot of other people going, well, yeah, when she gets in the ring, she better fucking kill it because you've been saying wait till she gets in the ring. If Mercedes had decided to change her finishing maneuver, even if just for larger opponents, I would have given this match 5 stars.
Oh yeah, that was my only real note of the match. Her finisher's fucking trash.
It's trash for certain opponents. She did one on Dynamite. Just now that I love this, now that she's like wrestled her match, she's obviously going to be like a workhorse.
Fixture.
She's right back in the ring on Dynamite against a much like smaller than Willow opponent about her size. And the finisher looked great. It took like half a second. She did it super fast. It looked impactful. But that's not most of the women's roster. Are bigger than that. They're bigger than that.
Yeah.
So you just got to do She's got a million moves, like any of them. That's the only thing, was it took too long to get Willow up in that thing. And it was like the slowest part of a very high impact, very exciting match.
It was very.
And it shouldn't be the finish of a match.
No.
So I knocked it a quarter star.
It was super inorganic the way they got into it as well.
Yeah. Anybody that's like medium to large build, it's always inorganic and clunky to get them into that thing because Mercedes is tiny.
Well, she pulled her off the middle rope. That's why it was like,
I think she had to because she wasn't going to pick Willow up off the ground.
Correct. But also, too, like, that was it. Just get a different get a secondary finisher.
When you're in there with Willow, who's got maybe the best finisher for what she is of anybody in the whole goddamn company because like it just fits her so well. Mercedes, especially if she's going to be a heel, just use the goddamn submission that you've always used. Call it something different. Yeah. That's all you got to do. I mean, plenty of wrestlers do that when they go to other companies, do the same move, just call it something different.
Right.
There's no need for you to have like a high impact finish as a heel. But that was my only complaint. Like everything else about this match was
it was a good match. I liked it.
During the match, you said it was one of the most exciting women's matches that you've seen in a long time.
Yeah, that's why I said it's a good match.
I was very surprised. I know you're not a big fan of Sasha/Mercedes.
Well, since she's been in the company, she's done nothing, and like she's been there. You could tell like they're rewriting her on the phone. So like
not anymore.
Now she's in the fucking ring, and like I had the same complaint when Chris Jericho when we were at Chris Jericho's debut in WWF, and then they proceeded to do nothing with him for several months. And just like this fucking sucks, dude. It was exactly the same way.
I'm not disagreeing with you there. I was just like
surprised
that you're like, oh yeah, it was good. No, I actually think Willow had the better match of the two. I thought they were both incredible.
They're both awesome,
but I think Willow actually had the better match.
Yeah.
And then after the match, she gets turned on and clotheslined brutally by now heel monster Chris Statlander. Can't fucking wait.
Not only her.
Yeah, Stokely too. But like Stokely staying with Stat, and they're shunning Willow. That'll be great. Like when they do that match, and then eventually, if they want to do the thing that I really, really want to see, which is Mercedes against Statlander, because it's just, to me, that's like the perfect matchup. You find a way to do that too. Cool. I don't care. Yeah. Statlander also cut up. Oh, again, go listen to my solo Blue Thunder Pod on the AEW regular podcast. Chris Statlander cut a promo on Dynamite as a heel, and who knew? She's a great promo as a heel.
Yeah.
She's not a very good promo as a babyface. Great promo as a heel, and the character's just way better, more interesting. And when you have a woman that can pick a prone opponent up off the mat with two hands and then lift them up over her head in a gorilla press, which Chris Statlander can do, that's a better person to have as a heel.
Right.
Because they're scary. The way she hit Willow with the clothesline here to close this out, looked like she was trying to hurt her too.
Right.
She wasn't, but like that's how good she is.
Yeah.
So loved everything about this match, and then into the segment except for just the finishing move. Got to change it.
Yeah.
But like, you know what? People do. Swerve stopped using the stomp as his finish after you particularly complained about it for a while. Like, I
put it into the universe.
You specifically.
No, this was good. I do like that they have another, like now that she's proven she still got it. Maybe never lost it is probably the best bet, but like she's been invisible for a while. So like
I forgot even. Like I was I started out and I'm like, was she as good as I think she was? Because I haven't seen a wrestler in like forever.
Yep.
And then as soon as the match starts, like, oh yeah, she was.
Yep.
Like there's a reason that Bayley match was my favorite women's match ever. Yeah. Half of it was her.
With good cause. But now they have yet another person that can fucking go in this division.
Yeah. They got to start booking more matches on their big show, not just fucking Collision, not just Rampage.
Could have a standalone women's pay-per-view.
I would watch the shit out of that too. There's so many.
They're talking about doing it in WWE again.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think they can.
WWE has the horses. They have the athletes to do it, but they're not. They're not all on the same level.
They're not developed enough
to like put them all together.
Yeah. Well, what's her face that was wrestling May last week or 2 weeks ago that has like Harley Cameron?
Yeah, Harley Cameron's with her 12 matches.
Yeah.
It's like a phenom.
And then you
but
have-
like, when was the last time we saw Queen Aminata?
That's another
she's
one.
incredible.
Yeah.
But like, she's not on that level so that would be a problem for them too.
But you
because-
also have different tiers, right?
Yeah.
Where like WWE has like they have people in top positions. This is the women's division that are not as good as other women in the top positions.
Yes.
And then like it's like.
Lyra Valkyria is like mid card.
She's mid,
and she's like the best, maybe the second or third best wrestler on the.
And then you got like Becky Lynch, who up until this past week was like with the tippy top of the division and like probably the weakest worker.
Couldn't really go,
right? And then like you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But like in AEW, everyone at the top is fucking great.
Yeah.
Everyone right below that still pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
Like, and then there's like
a group of awesome people who just have been out or are not on TV.
Yeah.
Like they were just waiting for it. And then. The bottom isn't even too bad. Like the bottom's like Anna Jay, who's a very good wrestler.
Right.
like
Sky Blue and Julia Hart.
Yeah.
It's all very interesting people.
Exactly.
Still. So
it's like very young, like people that are still learning.
And I know who all of them are, and I know what they've done. Like,
which is good. That says they've been on TV. They still haven't been on TV enough. They need to start putting multiple women's matches on Dynamite, not Collision, not Rampage. Dynamite. That's the show that people watch.
Yeah. I was going to say something that was stupid.
A couple of times they've done a main event with the women, the people go fucking nuts. Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida is one of my favorite Dynamite main events ever in the 5-year history of the show.
I forgot to mention that. And when they did the pre-show, the pre-match promo, they for Toni Storm and Serena Deeb, Toni Storm calls her Hariku.
Hariku Shida.
But yeah.
Taz said something super dirty about Toni Storm, and I didn't write it down, and I can't goddamn remember it. It's making me crazy.
Looks like you're gonna have to watch Double or Nothing again.
But the problem is I just fast forward. I go Ospreay and then the MJF thing, and then to the match we just talked about, and then the next match was my other best match of the night.
It was good. It was very good.
Swerve defending his world. If it was 4 3/4, I don't know if I said it yet for the last one, AEW World Heavyweight Title match, Swerve Strickland versus Christian Cage, and a just about perfectly worked match. Christian told a story. He's so good at this. But he told a story throughout the entire match, and it was a very simple story, and that story was, no matter what happens, I'm not going to let that fucking guy hit me with that fucking kick. It was all about avoiding the house call. Right. He was trying to do it the entire match. It's all he cared about. He was like, everything else I can get through. I don't think I can survive the house call. I'm going to do everything I can to not let that happen. And Swerve like a absolute like beast machine trying to make it happen. As I always say with Christian matches, but lately with Swerve too, the crescendos of the match hit right when they should. They had one of the best spots I've ever seen. I won't again. You guys will get bored if I try to do move by move. You know what how he works, and I just told you what his MO was for this match. Imagine that. That's like what happened. But the way that Swerve was then able to finally hit the house call was a fucking counter to a spear.
So he kicked him out of the fucking sky.
Kicked him out of the sky right in the head.
Yeah.
If I hadn't just seen Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson do the best possible version of that kind of a spot that's ever going to happen, I'd be like, oh, that's the spot of the year. Like, it was an unbelievable athletic feat for both guys. Accuracy. It looks great. And Swerve came out of this looking like $1 million again. I think his last 5-6 weeks has been amazing.
Very rejuvenating. I agree.
No complaints. I went 4 3/4 here. I must have had something that I love the Christian story.
Coming off of that move, Swerve did go up to the top rope to do a swerve stomp and Christian, and I bitch about this incessantly, how people have to prop themselves up to take the swerve stomp. Coming off of the kick to the fucking head that he just got, it's plausible.
Yeah.
So these are the very rare instances where this actually looks like correct.
Him and Hangman Page. It's been so now it's Christian and Hangman Page.
Shocking. Shocking how they get the best guys to fucking take their moves correctly. Even Joe didn't look good doing it.
Oh, I know why I gave it 4 3/4. Because regardless of all the hard work that they did, there's nothing they can do that for 1 second even made me bite on a possible Christian win of the
Yeah,
World Heavyweight title.
You need some
It's
deniability.
just because of where they are on the cards and stuff. Like, there's no way for them to have a five-star match because I cannot get completely invested when I know 100% one guy's going to win.
Right.
Like, even if it's a big, like, we are almost positive that one of the guys, I need that 1%, and that just, it wasn't there. There's nothing to do with these guys, the work they did in the ring. But, like, I couldn't give it 5 stars because of that. So I went 4 3/4. The last 2 matches were my highest of this show. The main event of the evening was of course, as predicted, the Anarchy in the Arena match. This was fantastic. Like, but these all are. Yeah. It worked out similarly, just with different crazy spots. The big ones that you guys probably already know about here I think we talked about it a little bit early, but Darby brought the flamethrower back and set Jack Perry on fire. The best thing about them doing that was, I think it was a good fire spot, but to get away with it, usually when they do a fire thing, it's a big giveaway because you look all wet because they got to put that fire retardant jelly all over you. Well, the way that they got past that was they had Darby dunk Jack Perry in a big basin of water a couple of minutes prior to when they did this spot. Yeah. So when he came out and he looked all wet, everybody just thought, oh, he's still wet from the water. Yeah. But they they introduced the scapegoat bus because Darby was hit by a bus. So Jack Perry drove the bus into a pile of stuff that Darby was supposedly in. He wasn't because he hit it going 70 miles an hour. Yeah. But that's what led to Darby then coming out later with the flamethrower. Then Darby gets tied up by his broken ankle and lifted above the ring. So he's just upside down. They rip off Darby's face mask it was protecting his broken. It was covered in tacks too that he used to headbutt people. But the music thing, it was my favorite music thing I think they've done in an Anarchy match. Very funny. So it seemed like the music they were going to go with for the now traditional music that plays for a long time into the Anarchy in the Arena match was Darby's music. But then Matthew Jackson grabs the mic and turn this shit off, play a really good song, our new theme music. So they start playing their admittedly good, but not right for a Anarchy in the Arena match music over for a little bit until a maniac Bryan Danielson runs in the ring and grabs the mic and says, turn this shit off. We're going to play the greatest wrestling entrance music of all time. At which point Taz says, War Machine? Which is a really cool callback. Yeah. That was the Bam Bam Bigelows that Taz used at a couple of pay-per-views in ECW.
I like that.
It was very cool. Of course, it was Final Countdown. The best part about this was, and it's a great song to watch them Dax dressed as Ishii or the bad guy from Indiana Jones, depending on who you're talking to, fighting by the bar, and everybody's doing it's Anarchy in the Arena match. It's exactly what you guys know it is. When it's the final countdown, the first time that part hit, Darby Allin somehow managed to time it to where as that hit, he did his coffin drop off of the railing through a bunch of people. I didn't even notice it until I heard people talking about it, and I went back and watched. Oh yeah, he absolutely did that on purpose, and it's amazing. So cut back to the end of the match, towards the end of the match.
Hang on, don't cut back to the end of the match yet. Matthew Jackson.
Oh yeah. This was a good line too. Yeah, sorry.
I don't remember exactly what he said verbatim because I didn't jot it down, but he was kind of nervous if they could afford the final countdown.
Said, cut this shit off. Turn this off. It's costing us $200,000 every time it plays. We're on a goddamn budget. Jesus Christ.
It was very, very good character work in the middle. Very funny, too.
Good. Everybody was really into the song playing, too, so it was a good heel thing. Just tell them to shut it up.
It was very funny. Like legitimately, like a comedy line.
Yeah.
Can we afford this?
They,
very fourth wall.
They string Darby up in the middle of the ring, and it's like Danielson kind of fighting everybody off. Darby is now hung up, upside down, above the ring,
like a briefcase,
like a briefcase. his head,
not that
upside
high
down. His head is about the height of where it would be face to face with you if you're standing in the ring.
It's 5 feet off the ground, something like that. Yeah.
At which point the Bucks bring out their brand new Reebok pumps that are covered. The bottoms are covered in tacks, and this was a lore breaking moment. It's the first time the Bucks have done shoe stuff and won a match.
Yeah.
But they put on the tack covered pumps. They rip off Darby's mask and then proceed to actually kick him in the face because it looked great, but I just assumed it was like a cool looking double super kick that was worked well.
Yeah.
Right after the match, Darby went on Instagram and posted a zillion tack holes in his face.
Holy
from
shit.
Both shoes, like hitting him in the currently broken nose, by the way. His nose is still very much broken, like black, swelled up, and then now it's dotted all over with like puncture wounds all over his face.
You know the phrase like live life like you're like something about
like it's the last
like, not till the wheels come off, but like with a motorcycle turns side, like I'm screeching into the grave or something like that. I don't think anyone's doing it as correctly as Darby Allin.
He's the most that of anybody ever. It's amazing that the man hasn't hurt himself worse. Amazing is not even the word. It's a miracle that the guy hasn't hurt himself worse.
Yeah.
Remember when when AEW started, he wrestled for 2 months with a broken arm? Like that's how he started in the company.
He's got that free solo thing. Like the guy that was just free, like how something's not
those guys die all the time. Darby keeps doing these spots where he's like,
because he's alive right now,
breaking a little bit of stuff. But like all these things should be doing massive damage to him.
He would have for sure done something wild on Mount Everest.
Yeah, I think he would have died. Like, people are like, oh, it's only a small number. It's like 2%. I'm like, 2% is a fucking giant number of people that die that go to a place.
Yeah.
And Darby was going to do as crazy a shit as you could. Yeah. So that raises his, like Steiner maths tell me, raises his chance to die.
Yeah.
My favorite, one of my favorite things, while Darby was hanging upside down by his bad ankle and Danielson's just trying to fight off the bad guys, the crowd just starts chanting, "Please help Darby."
It was a concerning amount of time.
It was a long ass time for like anybody to be hanging upside down.
Yeah, it was like that's another thing. It was like uncomfortably, like I couldn't focus on what the fuck was going on in the match.
I was like worried that he was unconscious.
Yeah,
because it's hard. You're not supposed to be upside down that long.
No,
no.
So
and it wasn't on like an inversion table. It was like by his foot in a rope.
Yeah.
It was
nowhere near anything where he could pick himself
up.
But the end of the match. Oh, did you cover the flamethrower thing?
Yeah, flamethrower.
So Jack Perry gets hit with flames, and then Jack Perry's the one that fucking
he doesn't do any after the flames. He sells it I think enough because he's out for several minutes or like more than several, like 15 minutes.
It's a long time.
Come back until the very end of the match when Darby's strung up. Danielson finally gets to try to like maybe go help him a little bit, and that's what his downfall is essentially. Gets him put in a bad position. Jack Perry has like slunken himself into very heelishly into the corner, like waiting for a cobra waiting to strike, and comes firing out and hits a really nice knee.
Busaiku knee.
It was They didn't call it a Busaiku knee, but it had to. That's what he was going for, right?
It looks like a Busaiku knee.
And he's doing it on the guy.
Smells like a Busaiku knee.
Doing it on the guy.
Yeah.
But it, like, impact.
It looked great.
I mean, hit him right in the temple. Looked like a thing that should finish a match, and it did.
And it did.
And the bad guys won. It was the right call. Usually AEW doesn't end. I don't know if they've ever ended a show with the heels winning at the very end.
Not this soon into this fucking run.
Outside of that, most of MJF's championship run.
Yeah.
But that's different because it's fucking MJF.
Yeah.
And everybody loved watching him so much. It didn't matter.
Yeah. They were not going to let these guys lose as a faction this early in their fucking run.
I forgot my two favorite things about the only guy I haven't talked about yet in this match. Okada, one, just did a wonderful job of, because he does not wrestle these kinds of matches, doing a few things and then keeping his hands clean while peppering in a few very funny things. Like he found a street sign under the ring, and he pulled out and held up over his head, and it said Okada Boulevard or Drive.
Great trivia question.
I forget, but he then smiles huge to the crowd and says, "It's Okada Boulevard." So he had got big spots, but it was like story kind of stuff.
Right.
He doesn't do tack shit. You know, he's like Roman Reigns. He's John Cena. He's that guy. He doesn't get his hands dirty with that stuff. Right. He wrestles his 5-star classics and leaves that to the Darby Allins of the world. And it worked for him too. I very much enjoyed him in this match. And the follow-up on Dynamite after, where he called everybody bitches because that's his favorite goddamn thing to do. I love it. I love that his catchphrase is basically, you're a bitch. I gave this one 4.5 stars because while it was excellent, it wasn't my favorite Anarchy in the Arena match ever, and I'm only going to ever give one Anarchy in the Arena match 5 stars. So I'm like, if something surpasses that one, the Eddie Kingston going to let you on fire one, I'll probably drop that one on my like personal ranking list just because I don't think we can have a bunch of these because it's such a specific thing and it's kind of a cheat code because it's fun as hell no matter what. Yeah. And you don't really have to work it perfectly or anything because you got music playing and they got cameras everywhere and fans are involved. It's a spectacle. Yeah. The two prior matches were definitely superior and I gave them close to 5 stars because of it. This was more fun than both of those matches. Right. But it wasn't like as good because it was an Anarchy match, and the closest thing to perfection an Anarchy match can be, I think, is one that we saw already. Yeah. I don't think that can really be topped, even with like lighting people on fire or whatever. Yeah. Like it was very cleverly worked though. I was happy with the end of this. Pay-per-view in general. Loved the opener. Really loved what happened right after the opener. The next match after the opener would have been great if they did some moving around. Somebody got a whiteboard out and put magnets up and said, "No, maybe we should move this here and this up here because the crowd's going to be only thinking about this when this stuff's going on. Absolutely. We want to see it. We want them to see this stuff because it's cool stuff, but they're going to only be thinking about this. So maybe move him down here." Yeah. And outside of that, like placement and those 3 matches, one of which was only because of the finish, it was a really good show. But they could have cut those 3 or cut 2 and give Takeshita just a different opponent. Have him do exactly the same match except win against a different opponent. Yeah. And that would have been a great match as well. I agree. But like, very good show coming off of the last one being like an all-timer, top 5 like in my life that I've seen, me personally. This was not that. It was a very good pay-per-view. It was like an AEW level pay-per-view on whole, but it was flawed because of the stuff in the middle. Yeah. And that's fixable. And really, it's fixable just by pulling it out. Right? And they continued a lot of the stuff that I liked on Dynamite too. So like, I think they're going to keep it rolling. But they could have changed some stuff very easily and made this like almost to that Dynasty level. Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. And we agree pretty much on both the pay-per-views from the weekend. It's pretty surprising. Yeah, I mean, the more we do this show, the more our tastes on both sides have like... We have more perspective then, too, where it's like, like how I used to be so rigid with the Bucks, because admittedly I was a little tribalistic with Punk, but like once the dust settled on all that, it's like, okay, I see what they're doing now. Yeah. I enjoy the shit. You've changed a little bit. I think, but how you view their storytelling, as we've talked about, is just a different way. It's the New Japan way. I've definitely changed the way that I am able to view and enjoy the structure of a WWE. I really wanted to give one a 5-star rating this week. It wasn't for one stupid thing that so like I've definitely changed by how I can enjoy the in-ring stuff that's happening in WWE. There's a lot of great stuff happening there. You could change. And I could change. And you could change. Everybody could change. Again, Creed, the best Rocky movie. Rocky 4. Rocky 4 does rule. Rocky should have got that goddamn towel thrown in a little bit faster, though. If Mariah May was there, Apollo would have lived. Of course, I wouldn't have had... we wouldn't have gotten the movie Creed, though. That's not at all where I thought you were going with that. I just imagined Mariah May like spliced into Rocky 4. And then like somebody terribly CGI Luther stopping a towel hitting Luther's killing Apollo. Join us for our regularly scheduled Blue Thunder Pod coming, as always, on Friday morning. And then we're going to have a Turnbuckle Time Machine episode for you guys this upcoming week as well, since there are no pay-per-views, because we just got a back-to-back around on Saturday, Sunday. And we need a little break, for Christ's sake. But we love doing this. We love that you guys like listening to us. Please continue to do so. Thanks as